Welcome to another episode of Lost in the Script TV. How y'all doing? Episode 228. Where are the receipts? A lot to get to this week. Hope you all had as stress-free week as possible. As always, got some stuff to get to. It's funny. I was going to talk about a subject this week with this Chud situation. And the week that I was going to talk about it, he ended up getting jammed up. So we definitely got an ending to that story. Maybe we're going to see, how this trick system works. A lot to get to. Hold on. All right. About to get to some amends have been made. We're going to talk about, we heard people use that term for the last couple of years, the decadent veil. How many of these people in this celebrity culture and things may not be as it seems. The people that seem the most successful, the most controlled, things might not be going as clean for them as we thought. We're going to get into a lot of that. And I had a theory 2 weeks ago as well about the Democratic Party and who they're positioning for their next run in 2028. There's somebody else. I asked a question. Obama put his arm around a particular person. I said, is this meant to nerf him? Or is this meant to he becomes almost a standard for the party now? And as time is going on, I think it's the latter. But we're going to talk about it in this episode. Let's go ahead and get to it. DL Hughley rips Tony over. I think it's now that's part of that Kill Tony show, if I'm not mistaken. DL Hughley rips Tony over George Floyd jokes at Kevin Hart roast. So if y'all didn't know, Kevin Hart had the Kevin Hart roast on Netflix. The thing about comedians, historically, they've been like a protected class. They've been allowed to almost blur the lines of disrespect and what we would consider jokes and what's funny. They were allowed to kind of say things and critique the structure. They were allowed to be the court jesters. They were allowed to critique and make fun of certain things in society to make you think a little bit more. I'm not saying that comedians have ever been seen as straight up philosophers, but there's definitely been this a trend with comedians that at some point they become They become people who criticize and critique society and politicians in general. We saw it happen with Richard Pryor. We've seen it happen with Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle in the early 2000s was doing fart jokes. Dave Chappelle was on the Dave Chappelle show doing dookie jokes. But as time has went on, his comedy has become more, a mental thing. It's been more of a critique on society, politics, pushing certain boundaries on that type of thing to offend people in different ways. He's always talked about race, but it's in a different situation. He does it a lot differently now than he did then. So every time these type of things happen, where these comedians say things that offends people, and everybody start talking about cancel culture, how this shouldn't exist amongst comedians. Comedians should be allowed to make the jokes. Well, I'll say since 2010, certain professions in media, certain medium has attracted certain people that it's not even about necessarily making the joke. These are just flat out racist people who are making these jokes for an audience. They're not doing this to push a boundary or to, poke at a particular thing because, I'm a comedian, I'm allowed to do it. Some people are just flat out racist and they think they can get away with certain things because I'm a comedian. Now in this Tony dude's case, he's the one who made the joke a few years ago during the campaign. I think it was last 2 years ago when he made the jokes in New York about the Spanish people and stuff. Got some backlash for it. So obviously when this type of situation like this happened with the George Floyd joke at the Kevin Hart roast, there's the people that critique and admonish and ask for some type of punishment, I guess. I don't know what they think gonna happen. And there's people who defend it. I did see the main joke coming out of this is Kevin Hart was supposed to stop it or something. Even though the entire roast the main joke used by most of comedians is that Kevin Hart is not really attached to Black culture, that he kind of is removed from it at this point. That's why you see D.L. Hughley come out and criticize him, a few other people. I seen the jokes with Cheryl. They brought up her dead husband. I seen the Katt Williams came out. I'm gonna get to that too, because I believe that might hint at another thing going on with Kevin Hart, even though they said that they supposedly squashed that beef a year ago. I think that goes along with that we were saying years ago about Black entertainers, and no matter how high you get in the industry, you need your base. You need a group that you can count on to come support you in your projects at any moment. And if your base isn't your race, at any moment it can be pulled from underneath you. But anyway, so this joke happens. I'm not gonna play it. He basically said, George Floyd is looking up from us, telling us he can't breathe. You kind of have heard all of them make all these type of jokes. And another thing, especially if you're on social media, if you're someone who's offended by this, considering how many jokes and memes and AI pictures and videos have been created around George Floyd, like, come on. And are we still supposed to, do these people still think George Floyd is some type of representation of like a holy figure to Black people? Like he's some type of Saint Maurice that we just praise, and like no one was out there protesting because George Floyd was just this person that should be worshipped. People were doing it because this man died on camera. Like it was a pretty simple situation. But D.L. Hughley came out and got mad about it. D.L. Hughley has officially entered the conversation about the growing backlash storm surrounding Tony, and he's not pulling punches. And outrage continues building over controversial material from roast of Kevin Hart. Hughley's directly linked his comedy style to same political controversy that exploded after the comedian appeared in Donald Trump's Madison Square Garden rally in 2024. That's what I was talking about earlier with the joke about the Dominicans or whatever. He later questioned the selective outrage surrounding offensive comedy, saying you are entitled to tell a joke, but if you cannot just tell jokes when the very audience that support that kind of comedy got upset when someone says something about Charlie Kirk. Hughley also argued that debates around free speech and comedy often become one-sided street. I do agree with that. When Charlie Kirk died and people was making the jokes, to see so many right-wingers turn into the most sensitive, soft-skinned, thin-skinned people was crazy. How quickly it turned into how it was so crass and disrespectful and unnecessary, and the left is about death. And I've said things about, left-leaning supporters and commentators and how they do tend to carry that same, you can give them the same critique, but why are you doing the same thing you're accusing them of now? But another thing that came out of this, Rose, because to be honest with you, this joke, to me, is kind of a whatever. You kind of know who that guy is. That's kind of been his entire platform, his entire personality is those type of jokes. Like even his base make fun of him because they think he's gay. Like that is his comedy. So to invite him there, and it's a roast. Roasts are supposed to be disrespectful. In yesteryears, they were typically held on smaller networks like Comedy Central. They're not really pushed to the mainstream audience because it was understood it was going to make somebody offended or whatever. So them putting it on Netflix is kind of garnering what they want, which is attention, to drive up the numbers and to cause engagement and conversation. But Kevin Hart invited Katt Williams there. And him inviting Katt Williams there after allegedly having some type of behind the scenes talk where they settled a beef. When Katt Williams did the interview with Shannon Sharpe, which I'm pretty sure at this point has like 90+ million views, which is crazy. An interview with that many views is crazy. When he said the things about Kevin Hart and all these other people behind the scenes, made the jokes about these dudes all marrying the same woman that looked the same and stuff. And Kevin Hart, I want to say it was a few days later at the NBA All-Star Weekend or something. He had a few little jokes towards Kevin Hart, nothing too heavy, but you could tell it was kind of tense. You could tell it was different because that interview was so big that hurts brands. To have that, I'm pretty sure if you look at the amount of people that watched that interview, the vast majority were black. So for Kevin Hart, who was coming off of a special on Netflix at the time that wasn't the most well received, obviously he's in all the type of movies, and all you see every time Kevin Hart name comes up at this point when it comes to doing a movie, all you see all these white people saying how tired they are of seeing him in all these movies. They tired of him. They tired of the Rock. They tired of a few of these actors getting so many movie roles. They tired of seeing them. So then you release a special. It's not well received. You got the black people saying he's doing white comedy now. Anybody want to hear this? So then you have Katt Williams do this interview critiquing you, and you got all these black people rallying behind him in support of kicking your back in. That hurts your bottom line. So it makes all the sense in the world to try and fix that. And then you got to do it publicly to clean up some type of image. Right before this roast dropped, I want to say before, maybe it was a little bit after, but I feel like it was before this roast was put on Netflix. There was an article that came out on Essence about Kevin Hart media having money problems. If you try to search their article up right now, you'll see this right here. So Essence published an article about some lawsuit maybe coming, about some money problems going on with his company, and then they deleted it. So the only way the obvious thing that happened with this was he made a call and had it deleted. But if you, luckily there's a team, so you can look up articles that were deleted. This is the article here. Kevin Hart's company fired 2 black podcast producers, shelved all their work, then sued them for leaving. Eric and Leslie were brought in to help grow Hartbeat's audio ambitions. Instead, their project stalled, their jobs disappeared, and lawsuit followed. You can go into detail into the article. Like I said, no matter how your feelings towards Kevin Hart, his list of accomplishments is admired and respected. So you can see how they started the article. This is Essence. So they start in the article ass kissing. You're accusing this man of firing someone, taking all their work down, and then suing them for leaving. So he's pulling a move on them. But you're starting with respect immediately. From taking home the Mark Twain in American Humor and Kennedy Center in 2024 to hosting the BET Awards in 2025 to earning a Golden Globe nomination for his Netflix comedy special, Acting My Age. That's the one that wasn't received well, if I'm not mistaken, from a lot of people. Philadelphia native has no shortage of wins, and just this week, Netflix dropped the trailer for the upcoming film 72 hours ahead of its July premiere. It's no wonder that when a group of peers come together and this past weekend to show their admiration, so this was after the roast from the comedian during the Netflix's Kevin Hart roast. And though the roast may be over, unfortunately for him, the punchlines at his media company are just getting started. This is originally a Bloomberg investigation article. Published Sunday reveals that Hartbeat, Hart's media company, once valued at $650 million, has been quietly unraveling for the past few years. At the center of the latest controversy are 2 black podcast producers, Eric and Leslie, who were hired to expand Hartbeat's audio footprint, never given the green light to do it, and then taken to court when they tried to move on. The situation is a complicated one, particularly given that Hart has been vocal about his admiration for black talent. As Essence previously reported, Hart has credited black women specifically as his biggest motivation, saying he admires their fight for equality and opportunity in the workplace. Hey, this ain't gonna work no more. I'm hoping it don't. I'm sick and tired of these people having these bullshit talking points in order to garner support from particularly just black women. And unfortunately, they fall for it a lot. But in this situation, we don't know all the full facts. Like I said, Bloomberg originally posted it and said there's some money problems possibly going on. Kevin Hart is recognized as one of the hardest working people. He has multiple movies every year, it seems. Comedy specials. He got a production company. He do a lot of stuff. Hard-working man. But I remember when Gabrielle Union did an interview like years ago. I want to say it was in the midst of COVID. And Gabrielle Union was asked about her, as an actor and the finances that come with it. And she said very boldly that most actors are living check to check. We live in movie to movie, and most people ain't ain't got it like that. Now, we would never think that that would be something we can tie to Kevin Hart. And I don't think that's something that you can't tie. But I do think it matters that when these people try to go into these other industries, they're not necessarily proficient at, maybe. They get a little too ambitious, want to be the, everybody want to be the CEO. Everybody want to be the top of everything. They want to run everything. They want to be under nobody. Because the last time, when you talk about podcasts, didn't Kevin Hart have a podcast? Then he had a podcast with his homies, and then he stopped doing the podcast with his homies and started doing another singular podcast by himself. He got the podcast where he sits in the ice bath and interviews people. So he's had a podcast, and he tried to build his own company, obviously off of himself, doing the podcast on his own platform. And now he's trying to delve into bringing other people on, and a lot of times it don't work. I've only seen that really work when you see corporations get involved. For instance, iHeartMedia and Charlemagne, Black Effect Network. If you look at the Black Effect Network, as far as the podcast that's on it, none of those podcasts, I'm going to say none. Most of those podcasts ain't doing no numbers. But somehow they end up on Netflix now because iHeartMedia was able to do a deal to bring them on. So solo or independent network and doing it on your own just don't work. Hell, even the biggest podcast in the world, Joe Rogan, he signed to Spotify. Like people doing on your own ain't easy. And it's very expensive to be the boss. And I'm wondering, because the article's written like this and the stuff that's going on in the past, is this, do we see a certain shift in Kevin Hart when it comes to the entertainment industry? I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. Speaking of iHeartMedia for a second too, because it's funny that they wrote this about Kevin Hart and how much he supports Black women. When this came out on them, former Essence magazine employees say they witnessed a hellish and dehumanizing culture at the leading publication for Black women in America, Essence. And we know there's been a heavy critique on Essence when it came to the festival and stuff, and a lot of things around that. All right, so this is what Essence is writing for Black women now. Look at this. How being a dog mom is offering a Black woman an alternative motherhood. As more Black women embrace pet parenthood, dogs are becoming sources of healing, stability, and alternative vision of motherhood. 10 years ago, this article would have been written in USA Today. It would have been placed in the New York Post or somewhere, and it would have been some white woman writing a story about being a dog mom is a good replacement for motherhood. And Black people would have saw this headline, laughed, and went on about their day. But as time goes on, unfortunately, a lot of the same beliefs and lifestyle choices of Caucasian women has been quickly becoming the same beliefs of Black women. This is crazy. This is in Essence magazine telling Black women that, hey, just go get a dog. And there was a quote made by a man who died a couple years ago, who was a content creator. And he got called the biggest demon ever. He said, buy a dog, get old and buy a dog, basically. Something like that. Some type of quote. That was Kevin Samuels. And years after his death, Essence magazine is writing articles telling Black women to do just that. Buy dogs. Hey, man. Hey, man. Okay. All right, next up. Because I was speaking on I'm gonna get to this now. Tennessee man known for racist videos held on $1.2 million bond for courthouse shooting. So if you don't know, content creator, live streamer, Chud the Builder, popped up on everybody's social media feed like 2 weeks ago. I don't know how long he's been around in general, but for the most part, 2 weeks ago, he popped up of him going around harassing black people, using the N-word, calling them niggers. Because he said he was on a mission to defend free speech. That's what his whole purpose was. Walking up to people, threatening them with a weapon. You know he had a gun on him, obviously. And threatening these people, telling them how he's going to shoot them and kill them, calling them, don't chimp out, as he say. Don't chimp out. Even though in most of his videos, it was him being the aggressor and antagonizing people. And he clearly, on a serious note, was clearly looking for just this very thing. He wanted to shoot someone. And I actually believe on some level, this dude may be going through some type of, I think he is a good encapsulation of what's going on in general with white males, particularly under the age of 30. I think if I'm not mistaken, he's 28. I believe these people have this nihilist kind of thing going on where they just don't believe in nothing. They don't care about nothing. They have no real will to live. I'm just not going to believe that he just wanted to do this to get clout and money and become famous. I just think he just don't care about life, because it could have went way worse for him. Honorable said 28. Yeah, he's only 28 apparently. Shout out to Honorable. I believe they just have this lack of will to live, Caucasian males, and I think he was looking to die personally. I'm gonna play some of the. I'm not gonna play none of the stuff he was doing or saying because his goose is cooked now at this point. But I'm gonna play this here. Let me play this here. In this courtroom.
Good morning, Mr. Hughley. Good morning. Mr. Hughley's on bond apparently on several other matters when this matter was allegedly committed. I'm looking at an A and really a super D, a C, really 3 C's and an A really for tracking kind of purposes. It's pretty serious.
Your Honor mentioned criminal homicide. I thought that was attempted.
I said, did I say homicide? I meant to say attempted criminal homicide if I didn't.
He's been charged with attempted murder.
Okay, understood.
I thought I did, but that's still an A felony.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we're gonna have a bail hearing.
I'm gonna set just a bond right now till we have our bail hearing. Then I'll let you make all the arguments. We can go through all the factors in the statute.
So as you can see, he's in this court. What up, Craig? What up, Regina? He was a fairy. Oh, we're gonna get to it. That you already know, he's been hit on bond for $1.2 million. 10%. He can get out with a little over 100K. But the problem is, just like always, these white people create these GoFundMes for these racists and give them tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars. But the courts apparently have already blocked the usage of that money. Now, this dude is a 28-year-old. He has a kid. You have a kid. That's how you know they don't believe anything. These people, they're on their last legs. They are completely devoid of any type of, because it's like they're trying to push a certain level of fake patriotism, a level of fake white nationalist beliefs. He was trying to push this free speech thing of I get to say what I want, and which is funny because it's always the N-word. I don't get it. It's only stuff that'll get to you. I saw on social media there was some Dominican dude or Puerto Rican dude, whatever he is, who used the N-word. And then the black woman like, "Are you black?" He's like, "No." He said, "Okay, then speak." So they started using the slur for them against him, and they called it racist. And it's like, just because you grew up in neighborhoods around these people don't mean you get to use that word. We're going to get to that later. Honorable says, top MAGA creators have been talking him down for his behavior for months. So who is the audience he's trying to be GoFundMe rich? Yeah, I'm surprised how many, I guess I shouldn't be, because the same thing they did with that Nick Fuentes dude, they kind of disowned him. Those those right wing, those extremely alt right people, those incel grifters, those those type of personalities. They've been trying to push away from the MAGA movement for the last year or two. And that Nick dude flipped on him, by the way. He's now pushing a certain level of us against the system. He's basically pushing Marxism. He's trying to push class solidarity and stuff now. That racist Hispanic dude is now pushing class solidarity because he's mad that the MAGA people kicked him out. Honorable says when they avoid offending Jews, that free speech nonsense goes out the window. Exactly. The only slur he wanted to use was the N-word because he knew, unfortunately, our people going to react. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. If somebody's going around purposely trying to disrespect you, there's nothing wrong with reacting to it. That's another thing. I thank God. And a gang member, when I was very young, was able to instill in me a certain mindset. That's why I say, I'm not, gang members are, do bad things in the community, but some things are some stuff that stick with you that they can teach you, or at least tell you and they stick with you. I had a gang member say something so simple. It wasn't the craziest quote or nothing. He was just like, what's wrong with being violent? If somebody tried to disrespect you, what's wrong with being violent? And then I realized you have a lot of times with these white people especially, whenever they do something that deserves them to get the shit smacked out of them, they always lean towards, if you do something violent, that means you're dumb. You have low IQ. It's like, what are you talking about? That has nothing to do. I'm making a decision. It's not just a reaction. You did something to try and get a reaction. I'm giving you the reaction I want to give you. Because he was out here calling all these people the N-word, and most of these black people was ignoring him, getting the hell away from him, cussing him out, and just leaving him alone because they know what he was doing. But then the same white people who tell you if you react, you're emotional and low IQ, was calling those black men in particular cowards for not shooting him or trying to beat him up, even though this man had a gun on him and bear mace. So they antagonize you, and if you don't react, you're a coward, and if you do react, you're low IQ. They're trying to trick you out your spot, bro. They're always trying to trick you out of your spot. That's all they do. A Tennessee man who goes by the moniker Chud the Builder is known for posting racist videos on social media, was given a $1.2 million preliminary bond and attempted murder and other charges on Friday. So we already know all this stuff. Now, how this went down is how things can get real bad for him. I don't need this right here. This is just him reacting to the
seriousness of all these felonies at 1.25 million.
Close them out. Look.
Based upon the fact of how many people were in the
That's
courtyard.
how you know you just did something stupid.
Based upon the fact of how many people were in the courtyard, we're here at the courthouse.
Threw your life away for no reason. Shout out to I Exposed Racists. That racist instigator Chud the Builder hit with a $1.2 million bond after being charged with attempted criminal homicide for shooting a black veteran outside Clarksville courthouse. He shot the man during the altercation and grazed himself in the process. This is the same clown who's been provoking the black community, running his mouth and playing tough guy on camera. Enjoy that sale, Chud. I wanted to show. Now, this is the video. There's nothing too explicit in this, so I can show it. We don't get to see everything. I was saying MAGA money got that million easy. Bruh. That's why every time I see one of these black commentators, who's that guy? Every time, what's his name? Jason Whitlock. He been trying as hard as to get MAGA to truly get behind him, but they just don't like him. He says stuff to antagonize black people and try to garner their support, but they just don't like him that much. He get minimal support. Like they watch him here and there, but he's not able to really get the big bucks. He's not able to really get the real support that they're willing to give to certain people. And so when I see these black commenters or commentary people who saying stuff that you look at in their face, you could tell they just talking shit. They trying to get that money, man. These people will throw money at you. I bring it up all the time when that white man he hugged Kanye West, bought all his shoes and all his gear, and thanked him for just caring or thinking about the plight of the white male. These people are desperate to be recognized as victims. They're desperate for it. So if you show any sort of empathy towards them publicly and loudly, you have to denigrate your own people in the process, but if you show it, they will support you to the end. They will give you all the money and all the support you want because they're desperate to not be considered. Because even to this day, no matter how much they try to act like they're so quote unquote base, as they call it, they think being called racist is the same thing as being called the N-word. Like, it still feels like a stain on them when you call them racist. Honorable says, MAGA out here looking, look, Maxon, Jason, don't stand a chance getting this. Oh man, using the lingo too? What's that guy's name? Clavicular? I forgot his name. Beating his face with a hammer and shit. And about, if I'm not mistaken, he's one of the incel dudes, ain't he? He's some content creator now. He had a whole theory about how you get treated, how you look. He changed his looks, and now he's a famous streamer. But here's the video of Chud the Builder in the altercation. Like I said, you can't see nothing too explicit, so I can show it. Now, this is the video. This is the evidence that he deleted himself. Talking about Chud, he ended up deleting this on his own devices. So apparently, as always, he's antagonizing the black dude. Yada yada yada. Talking crazy to him. The black dude's yapping back with him. Now, the part that can get him 16, 20 years maybe is the fact that they saying that Chud reached for his gun and then the black veteran punched him. Then he shot the veteran. He ended up shooting himself at the same time because I guess the veteran was fighting for the gun at that point. And it's a veteran. How you end up explain that, what is the luck, or at least the unluck, how unlucky can you be that when you finally get somebody who's willing to go there with you, they're a veteran. So they have some level of understanding how to get close to you when you got a gun, because me being closer to you is a safer position than being further. And he's able to wrestle you from doing more damage than you probably could have done after he punched you. So because of that, on the veterans end, who according to them said he has PTSD, it's now self-defense on his part. Even if you said a slur to him and he punched you and then you put out a gun, that's still not self-defense on the Chud's part though. So either way, he's cooked. And they got all type of videos and posts on social media of him literally saying he's gonna shoot a chimp and kill somebody here all over the place. I just think he's cooked. I don't think there's much he can get out of this. But he said 2 things my sources tell me with the Chud the Builder case. Either he deleted evidence before the police were able to take the phone. If true, it can easily be proven by digital forensics. Expect the tampering with evidence charge to be added to the case. I also told that he deleted the live stream. Pump will be subpoenaed for the content. And Chud's lawyer allegedly wants nothing to do with the case. According to the sources he wants out, I wouldn't be surprised if he files to withdraw himself. That MAGA money, as Honorable say, man. Now, during the weeks long terrorizing he was doing, there was an interview he did on the street with a random woman, and she was random to everybody else, of this seemingly black woman who met him and was very generous and nice to him. Someone who he apparently knew, smoked weed with in the past, yada yada yada. People didn't know who this woman was, but she obviously became somebody who was looked at as an absolute coon because this man is saying he could say the N-word in front of you and you're defending him. But whatever. Now they're saying this is a transgender woman. This is a transgender woman. I got confused with it too. I was so embarrassing. They said this part of the story is so confusing. Say what? When I first saw this, I didn't know if this was actually a transgender or if this was a woman who's into this extreme, those weird sexual acts and walk around with a strap on. And I still don't know. I don't care to find out either. I don't care. It's just a mystery that I won't look to find out. But now that street video makes sense, because I ain't gonna lie, black women, that original video looked crazy. That original video looked crazy. Niggas was going in and you couldn't even try to defend. It was crazy. But now we're seeing it a different way. It's like, it's still crazy. I don't know if this is even a black woman. I don't know. But it is what it is. Honorable says, trans, is that what they were trying to explain when they said the doctor harmed them? I don't know. Like I said, it's a mystery. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the mystery. But let me play some of this. I don't know if I want to play it all, but I'm going to play what they had to say.
What's up, y'all? Lily Venus here. Pretty bitch with a big dick. It's
Yeah, I can't play all this. I'm not gonna be able to play all this. Out the gate, right?
Literally in my bio. I'm only bringing this up because Chud the Builder's cameraman put our conversation on Broadway on YouTube. Now millions of people know what I look like fresh off work. Fucking great. But in the caption it said that,
yeah,
I told y'all we used to smoke. He used to sell me weed. And we did raw dog. A lot. Me, him, and my ex-wife. I am a professional pegger. It is no secret that I perform prostate massages, if you will.
What is going on in the world? What the 2026? We have transgender people who are professional peggers for a racist white man. What is the world we're in right now? This is the end times. This is it. Just go ahead and prepare. We at the end. The sentences I'm hearing in the last couple years are the sentences I never thought would be together. Like, this is crazy. But yeah.
It said that Black Lion, I already told y'all we used to professional pegger. It is no secret. And I've been doing it for a very long time now. Most of my clientele is white men. We sign NDA agreements. I talk about me pegging all the time, but I never tell you names because discretion is key. Confidentiality is why my client list is so
client list. What is going on? A client list.
long. But Chud mentioned it first. I think that he said it the way he said it because the white supremacists were probably like, ew, you used to hang out with a black girl, shame on you. So you had to make it sound good.
Hang out? Y'all hung out, huh? I got a really bad joke I could use right there, but I'm gonna leave it alone.
Good. But see, here's the thing. I'm an egregore too. Lily Venus, hi. Hail the great mother. So
yeah, I kind of figured that part.
I am all about enlightenment, controversy, occultism, witchcraft, and of course, love. So me talking about this is what my brand is about. Let's expose it, bro. So yes, pretty bitch with a big dick.
Okay, you can go ahead and...
His cheeks used to clap.
Yeah, all right. Enough. Enough. Would you understand? You're all asking the questions I had in my head too when I was watching this. Again, say what you mean. I was LGBT is nothing but an adult entertainment for non-whites. Hey, man. So, obviously, as what's called said earlier, he was a fairy who was walking around. And this explains, it's funny, I'm about to say the same thing with Craig saying this explains a lot. This explains why he's walking around doing what he's doing. He has a completely seared conscience. He don't believe in nothing. Nothing matters in life. It doesn't matter what a future is. I'm gonna walk around. Now, I will say this too. I saw that he was in Nashville, Tennessee. And that's the only time I've known about his existence, which is, like I said, in the last week or two, like 2-3 weeks. I don't know if he's been to other cities, other states. I don't know. I kept hearing people say why he won't go to Memphis. Because at some point, as a man, even if it ain't got nothing to do with you, even if you know this man is trying to trick you out. He's trying to trick you. You know what he's doing. He's purposely antagonizing you. At some point, there's a certain level of your masculinity just says, you're just not getting away with this. So there's a lot of people who saw him doing certain things. They started getting annoyed and angry online. Like, all right, the streets need to step in. Somebody need to do something because y'all looking like punks now. Even though you know he's antagonizing you. You know that you should leave him alone. You should just leave him. But hey, it is what it is. But people kept asking him to go to Memphis, and it was like he's never ever going to Memphis. That would be stupid. Because I thought this was triggered by a black woman calling the cops on him. I don't know all the background in him. Like I said, I've only known about it the last few weeks. Most of the people I seen, obviously, I've seen a few black dudes. I saw a black dude spit on him, swing on him. I saw another one. Was now looking back, now that we know this about this person he was dealing with, the transgender. There was one interaction he had with a black dude that came off as a little suspect. The black dude smacked his hat off, but he was talking crazy to the black dude, and the black dude was acting like he was, I don't know if he was gay or not. It was a weird interaction, and people walked away like, We don't know what's going on with that situation. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it started with. I remember the clip of him at the club with the bouncer, and the bouncer told him, "Yeah, you can't come in." And he called him the N-word, kind of under his breath, like walking away. And then the white people were the main ones outside of a few black dudes getting on him, calling him a clown and a coward and stuff. The white one was like, "You're not going to say that to his face?" And he kept it moving, obviously. Then he tried to go back and get his face back the next day, but it didn't really work. I'm going to say, this is strange you started with the trans, because I saw a lot of videos of black men shaking his hand and cheering him on. I was about to get to that. When I was talking about the black dudes, like I said, I don't have all those videos, but there was one, most of the people who was doing the handshaking stuff, even the girls, I tend to give a little bit of grace to, because they clearly was teenagers when I looked at them. There was definitely some dudes that people was calling YNs that looked like they was in their early 20s that was on camera smiling with him, saying that how he's viral and all that other shit. That definitely was happening. But most of the people who was doing that handshaking shit, a lot of those look like clear teenagers, 16, 17, 18-year-olds who, unfortunately, in this generation, people who grew up on the internet, that rage baiting, edgelord, based shit, a lot of our black youth have grown up with that, which is something that typically has only affected black kids that grew up in the suburbs in the past, where they get used to the micro racism from white people, where white people will do something really, really racist, but say it's a joke, and they just say, okay, well, it's okay then. So a lot of black teenagers in 2026 who've been online on social media, who play video games, have friend groups online, they're used to that white petty racism, where they see it as kind of not a big deal. It's unfortunate, but it exists. Like I said, the suburbs is now on the internet. So your kids who grew up in the middle of the hood, they're getting the same experience as the suburban kids online, because they got these friendships with these racist white little kids on these forums on Reddit and all these other platforms. Because, you know, a black kid in the hood who's 14 that likes anime, they either on X, they're on Reddit, they're on some anime forum somewhere, and now they're surrounded by these weird white and Asian kids who racist as hell, and now they're being desensitized to the racism. So when they see a dude walking around on the internet calling people a nigger, but at the same time saying, I have no problem with anybody, free speech, they think everything is okay. Like the person here, that transgender person was defending him because they the same thing. They grew up around them and they just okay certain things. But I'm gonna show this last clip here of the Nick dude going at him. Let me show this.
And people now say he's a martyr. He's a martyr. Well, the black people were chimping out. Well, I don't know. If I were standing around and a black person was live streaming near me and they started saying things offensive to white people, yeah, maybe I would feel a certain type of way about that. Maybe, isn't that sort of our whole thing? And there's something ironic.
When he said our whole thing, he's talking about them literally lynching people. So yeah, that's our thing.
About that. You have a lot of people who are pro-white, and it's all about racial pride, and it's all about beating their chest, and it's all about saying, oh, you know, I'm white. Don't try that stuff around me. Don't insult white people around me. So much racial pride. But then there's this double standard where it seems that white people want to go out in some cases and offend the sensibilities of other people. They feel emboldened, for example, to use harmful stereotypes about other people, say racial slurs about other people, be provocative towards other people, and that's fine. That's free speech. That's funny. Hey, man, can't you take a joke? Hey, man, it's just a word. And when black people get pissed off or take umbrage or they attack, oh, well, you're chimping out. But then when the roles are reversed, if somebody says something anti-white, if someone says something exclusionary to white people, it's those same white people that puff up their chest and say, how dare you? You would never say that about a minority, this, that, and the other. How much abuse have you? Let's just be perfectly honest. Let's be fair. A lot of people aren't going to like this monologue. I don't care. This is what's fair. This is what's true. I see on the timeline how many out and loud and proud white people are saying Indians are fucking Jeets and blacks are niggers and Mexicans are spics and all this kind of stuff. And making jokes about you shit in the street and you like watermelon and all this kind of stuff. And they're the same people. They don't want to hear anything negative about whites. And how do I know that? Because I say negative things about all groups of people. And it's the same people that die laughing when I make fun of one.
Craig said he's so sad. This dude, and by the way, I'm gonna play the rest of it because he got the point across. He changed his tune on things based off how he felt that day. But I'm pretty sure he's Spanish. This Spanish Caucasian dude has said stuff like having a wife and kids. Why bother, basically calling it gay and stuff. Now he could have just been joking, but he joked like that a lot. This is clearly a homosexual man. And you got so-called white Christians following behind them. And these people have been trying their best. And this is the whole purpose of Chud the Builder, what's the other guy's name? Aiden Ross and all these other content creators who do a lot of this racist, alt-right stuff. They've been trying to convince themselves pretty much since Trump got in office. The reason Trump got in office and is so popular among especially young white males is they've been trying to convince the entire world that they're the ones that's the victim, that they're the ones that are the counterculture. It's no longer it's no longer black people with hip hop and all the other stuff and them being the ones who are setting the tune to be the counterculture that exists in America. It's us. It is us Christian white nationalists that are the actual counterculture. We're the victims. We're the ones who aren't defended in society. We're the ones who, what's her name? Anna Kasparian, the so-called lefty. Wasn't she a lefty a few years ago? She got on her, I saw a clip of her where she said out of her mouth after or during and after the George Floyd situation, the protests, for a few years, it was okay to be racist towards white people. This is your liberal. This is your liberal saying this. This whole thing that's going on right now, like I said, the entire purpose of Donald Trump existing, his son and his people that have been pushing his campaign have done a great job of really showing you the absolute how lost their youth is. Donald Trump went to China. As Xi Jinping told him to his face that America is deteriorating. And Trump agreed. Like, it's over. This shit is over. Honorable says, the money must be in looking funny this week. He was banking on getting a big response from his followers, good or bad. Yeah, he does a lot of antagonizing. I told you, ever since that white woman, I forgot her name, the former news host, when she pretty much came out and called him a loser and said that she pretty much made him an outcast amongst the right-wing political commentary sphere, where she was like, he's a loser. We don't want these guys to be the face of MAGA. We want the men and women of MAGA to like each other and get married. She basically saying he's a loser and ain't getting no women anyway, so why are we letting this loser have any type of speech over our young men? We don't want our young men to be like him. He's a young, frail, gay loser. Pretty much what she said. So since then, he's been clearly trying to get back at them by changing his speech towards his audience who he has influence over. But they're kind of a bunch of people that just do what they want to do in their audience. They talk shit to him too. So he don't really control them as much as he thought. But then it says, I have found the only derogatory word that triggers the pale races. You can use peckerwood, cracker, etc. And they think those words are a compliment. But racist? Exactly. Because if you think about it, cracker, people, they'll tell you, because, unfortunately, a lot of the things that we consider to be the lineage of these words be wrong sometimes, so we just don't know. They tell you the cracker come from them cracking the whip. I still, to this day, don't know what a peckerwood is. And I've looked it up before. I still don't know what that is. Honky, we know where that come from. That's pretty much a prostitution thing. But racist? Boy, don't call them racist. They get red, they get mad. They try to convince you that they're not racist, that they're actually good people. Racist? That's bad. Racist is like white trash. Like how they talk about white trash amongst their community. That's a very low level white person. They don't want to associate with them. Calling somebody white trash is very offensive. That's an in-house in-house term they use. And obviously black people use it towards them too, so it is what it is. But racist, that one hurt. Because that's a verification of their history when you call them racist. Next up, I'm using a lot of Essence articles too. I didn't even realize this. Are we good? We got to get to this now. we got to get to this. This person has been hitting them a lick for the last couple months. They garnered a lot of attention until it comes crashing down like always. What's her name? Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. They calling her Cayenne Pepper now. Carrying your people's narrative essence article. So Cheyenne Bryant, she popped up a while ago. She's this, I guess she's like, did she call her a psychiatrist? Did she call herself a psychiatrist? I can't remember what she called herself. She called herself doctor. She has all these degrees. I think she had 3 degrees or whatever she said she had. And he was going around giving people advice on relationships and life coaching and all this other stuff. For a while, people were saying this woman is a fraud. It's obvious. You can tell she's trying to pick up on what Kevin Samuels was doing. She done grabbed a baton and she running to the finish line like she about to. It's obvious what she's doing. It should have been obvious when her first hiccup, when she started doing the circuit interviews. She would go viral for something on some podcast, and then she would do an interview circuit about that particular interview. And when she went on Paul Pierce's podcast, and he looked at her and said, I know you. I know, or at least I know where you're from. He was pretty much letting us know that you ain't this woman you carrying yourself out to be. And then he exposed her for being in some type of, what they call a situationship where she's dealing with a dude but don't really want to deal with him, and kind of pausing both their lives because she don't really want to be taking it serious, which is against what she say, because she say don't play in relationships, get married, marry your baby mama and all that stuff. And she wasn't doing that. So, but nobody cared. It's entertainment anyway. She went on about her business. Then she went on the Joe Budden podcast and they challenged her a little bit. But there was a particular segment where she called Parks. He called out his so-called white privilege because he checked her about something. And people were just like, what are you talking about? So then people started digging a little deeper. That went viral. And then this woman here pretty much ended all that. So let me play. Oh, hold on. You got no sound on this? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'm not going to be able to play it. I don't even got a sound on the video. Oh, my God. So this woman here, I'm going to have to just explain it. Says, how was she able to get to the notoriety off her looks? And lesbian energy is hilarious and trying for all the black men that platformed her. Black men protective parties. Yeah, it was a lot of that going on. I can't lie. So I can't play this. I don't have sound on this. So I'm going to have to I'm not even going to try to go into detail what she said. This black woman pretty much said she's lying. That she doesn't have her credentials. She's lying. She went into detail about it, exposed it pretty quick, got in, got out. That went viral. Then people went to Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I'm going to keep calling her that because that's what she says she is. Apparently she actually trademarked the name Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. But, apparently it was like 2019. I don't know if that's true or not. So now people are asking her to prove she has a degree. This is what she's saying.
I've earned the title. I have multiple degrees, and I'm not going to prove anything to anybody. My obedience is to God, not to people. And so as long as I'm in his will and I'm serving and I'm doing his word, my sheep will know my voice. Even
my sheep. You know, whenever you see black people, and this is really a black thing, definitely. When a Negro getting exposed, the first thing he gonna do is bring up God. First thing he gonna do is, hey, God know my intentions. God love me. God know my heart. That's when you know a nigga doing something rotten.
In the sheep in wolf clothing. That is not my battle.
But
That's
with the
his.
questions that are out there, why not provide the proof of your degree? Why not?
Well, a couple of things, right? I have multiple degrees, and my thing is that my proof isn't something that I have to prove to individuals. My proof is already within my credentials, my degrees, and also more than just my titles, it's in how effective I've been. All of my sessions have been live, for the most part. My sessions with Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, Shannon Sharp, B. Simone, they have all been for the world to see. Right? So no one knew who Dr. Bryant was prior to seeing all of my sessions that were live. And they deemed it.
She calling those sessions and not interviews? Those are sessions now? I was outside of the trademark. Is she a minister or something? I blame the grief farming for this. You need to go get a channel on TYT like old boy. You know, I'm going to say this, though. As much as I see a lot of black dudes, he and ha-haing, it's actually black women that's getting her out of the paint right now. It ain't, black dudes are kind of dismissive of the whole thing. It's like, it's just funny to them. It's black women that are actually holding her to the fire. Every time she sit with one of these black women, they don't go lighter on her. They press her on it. They hold her feet to the fire and make her answer for things, which is making her look worse that she won't just admit. Look, like one of the women just told her, just take the doctor off your name. She told her, just take it off your name. It's not, she just won't do it.
As well as I did before they did it. They can't validate me. I validated myself. They deemed it as my work being effective. I am effective at what I do. I'm educated and I'm successful in my lane. And I'll land on this. I created my own lane. And so a lot of times, Marissa, when people see that you created something that maybe they couldn't.
They jealous of me. That's the second thing niggas do. Bring up God and he know their heart and then say they jealous of me.
Admiration turns into envy. And you got to be okay. And you got to be okay with that in that
as an
space.
attack. But I think, and I've gotten this question from many viewers, and I owe it to them.
You
in
do.
Service to
Absolutely.
them. Why not drop doctor from your name? If you
She's so sincere in this interview. Why not just drop the doctor? You're lying, bitch. We know. I know it's always black women TV producers have been trying to push her on black women for a while on reality TV, but black men platform this monster. I can't disagree. Part of the reason why most of her interviews, big interviews especially, are with black men is because, as she say, her sessions with them were her supposedly critiquing them and having a conversation about their lifestyle and stuff. So that's why that was a thing. But I gotta agree, a lot of her, the things she say are not necessarily pro woman. Like I've seen a lot of people paint her as this anti-man, man-hating woman. No. She's seemingly very pro-patriarch. You know, she very much pushes the idea, man and woman together. Like she kind of pushes the typical nuclear family. Like it's kind of typical. It ain't nothing really, like I said, I don't know all her interviews or everything she's ever said, but she seems to be very pro-nuclear family. That's kind of the whole basis of the whole thing. So you could say that somebody has been pushing that on black women. Whether you believe that's a bad or a good thing is up to your own beliefs.
you cannot bring forth that doctoral degree.
So I've already covered this, right? And we're here obviously to talk about my new book. So
she want to move on.
I've earned the title. I have multiple degrees, and I'm not going to prove anything to anybody. And we're going to leave it just as that. Yeah.
Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
Baby, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
And that's where, and you're standing
She don't really want to give you that.
by that.
Standing by it. Yeah, right. Because I earned it. Absolutely. I've earned.
Yeah. So at this point, they've exposed a lot more stuff about her, and they pretty much cut her off at the knees at this point. She still would have the same audience to go sit down with these dudes, just go full content creator at this point. Well, she is obviously a content creator. She can go just sit down with the same dudes, have the same conversation. She's going to garner the same amount of views. She's going to ask for the same amount of money. Nothing's going to change for her. She just won't be considered a doctor anymore. And please, regardless of your beliefs, please stop comparing this woman to Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar is he's a licensed. He actually has his PhD. You can go read it on. This is real. She does not have it. She lying. He wasn't. But Anima says he's very masculine energy. Pros say what my pimp told me to say. Who's supposed to buy the book? You think black men going to buy her book? Nah. Once again, I don't think nobody would. I think if anybody was going to buy the book, it was going to be black women, because unfortunately, there's a whole industry created of a lot of women who, I'm going to teach you how to get a man. And that ain't just get black men. That's just how to get a man. There's a lot of women, white, black, whatever race you can think of, that have written books that have, for the most part, been targeted at black women, supposedly teaching them how to get a husband. So in her book, she was going to be doing this BS self-help, life improvement type thing, where it was clearly going to be directed for the most part to black women. Would there have been some black men that would have bought the book? Of course, there's a lot of feminist black men and, supporters of her because they think she's the antithesis to Kevin Samuels, even though she's not. She pushes the same ideology. Who would have supported her because she's willing to tell Cam Newton that him not being in the household makes him a deadbeat. Same with Cam Newton. So there's a lot of people that would have supported her, men and women, for just saying that. But no, it would have been black women. She's teaching them how to date studs. How to date studs. Yeah. Let's move on now. I don't need that no more. Virginia said, "Oh Lord, not that." Hey, there's one thing. He's an actual doctor. He earned that. She did not. It's not the same thing. Not the same thing. Speaking of people fronting, did y'all listen to the new Drake? I'm not gonna talk about the music. I didn't listen, but I did want to get to this part. I just want to show this. The Drake released his album, Iceman. Seeing a lot of mixed reviews, as most albums have mixed reviews and stuff. But the White House tweeted this out, and immediately you know what the talk was going to be. The name of the album being Iceman, and Drake has been associating himself with a lot of people who have supported Donald Trump. Academics, Aiden Ross, a few other people he's connected himself and put his brand next to that are very pro-Trump. And then the hand sign he do, the 6, even though the 6 is from Quentin Miller, who was talking about Zone 6 in Atlanta, and he left it on the song years ago, and now people think that Toronto is the 6. So that's kind of funny. Talk about colonization. But that sign a few years ago was obviously very popular. You saw that a lot because people would use that as the white power sign. So he got the Michael Jackson glove on doing the white power sign, and they got a chain coming from it saying MAGA. That's what the White House tweeted out. I don't know, embarrassing albums, and Black Americans are Nazis and anti-Semitic, and he light-skinned and untouchable. Yeah, he said in the one I saw on X, somebody posted some of his bars, and he said, "Why they mad at me? Is it because I'm light-skinned and he said I'm light-skinned and Jewish. They don't want to. They not see me at the top. Man, you don't get the hell out of here with that bullshit. But politically, it makes sense. All the streams you can get, and I'm gonna ask this question: what is the difference between this? Even though Drake didn't have to do with this, as far as we know, this ain't got nothing to do with him. He's only associated himself with other people's brands that have endorsed this. This is kind of the same thing Nicki Minaj did when she went on that whole Trump, I love Trump, he's so handsome shit, trying to get that other audience, because America politically is so split that you have to be extremes on both sides. You have to say fuck Trump or I love Trump. There's no indifference you can have if you want to garner both audiences politically. In politics, as I said a few years ago, I said that last year, the most popular and most powerful people in content creation are people that do political commentary. They drive everything at this point. Everything is so political that people who do political commentary is going to have the biggest audiences. So you got to pick a side so you can get that audience. Honestly, they had Sandra Don at the top of the years because of the roles, because of his mother's lineage, and he dropped the ball. Can't fake culture influence. Yeah. But I've seen Homeland Security did some stuff too. Like I said, I ain't listened to the album. I don't have an opinion on it. The clips I've heard on X is exactly what I thought it would be. I will say this though, the one commentary I will give on the actual music. How do you do a song with Future after he did a song with Kendrick like that now has 1 billion streams, by the way, that kicked off the entire 2024 war? You forgive him, do a song with him, call it Run to Atlanta, because all this entire album, from every bar that these fans have been posting, have been him taking the bars from Kendrick diss songs and trying to flip it into songs and trying to retake it and stuff. He named the song Run to Atlanta, and it's like, but you did. But you did though. Like, you can't try to act like it's right there. You did it. But anyway, to his fans, enjoy the music. Have fun, I guess. And side note, this may seem out of left field. That Chris Brown album was really good. I seen him kicking his back end left and right. I listened to that album, and there's at least 9 songs on there that I'm playing consistently. That is a good album, but hey, that's just my taste. Arnold said, you didn't miss much. I heard 2 songs out of the 41 and AK fellas. Yeah, I saw that too. How you falling asleep on your favorite rapper's music? The second time you've done this in your entire YouTube. You've done this 2 times now. And we could blame it on you getting drunk and then passing out sleeping, but nah. Hey, but it is what it is. Get to this. Let me show this. Speaking of politics, Democrats would give up black voting power to beat the GOP. In a new political poll, the plurality of Democrats say the party shouldn't center Republican gerrymandering, even if it means reducing the number of majority-minority districts. They're finally telling you loudly. We've been saying this for 2-3 years now. They're done. They're moving on. They're trying to. That's why they brought in all these immigrants, these Mexicans, all these people from Venezuela. That's why they brought in these people from Ukraine. They're trying to get as many people in these districts as possible, so that when they redraw them, they don't have to redraw them around black communities. They can just redraw them around large immigrant populations that they think will vote for them. They're done lying to you. It's over. I'm gonna say, who is behind keeping Chris DB narrative in the spotlight? I'm tired of hearing about it. It's always a colorism. Let me get to this. I'm gonna pause for a second. Let me say this. Cause now I wanted to get into it, but I wasn't gonna get into it because people might not give a damn. But I do want to say this. Chris Brown released his album. Like I said, I listen to a lot of music. I like R&B. I listen to the Kalani Project. Not the best of me. I listen to a lot of music. I have never, it's been at least a decade. I want to say at least a decade since I've seen any type of commentary around Chris Brown's music. And you can say that's deserved. You can not like it, whatever. It's your opinion. But this album to get this much attention and be blitzed so hard with negative attention, I've never seen this in my life. It was the craziest thing I ever seen in my life. I'm looking around like, what are y'all listening to? What is going on? I've seen hit pieces written, as Anma brought up, people bringing up that he light skinned, people bringing up his dating preference. Like, okay, this is not about music. It seems like somebody behind the scenes is still not fucking with him, is still pushing something on him. It is what it is, regardless, like I said, if you believe it's deserved or not. But I've never seen a blitz like that in my life on a project by him, where they haven't spoken about this man in mainstream media without it being attached to something negative in like a decade. So I was shocked that people reviewed an album that a person who they said is irrelevant. But anyway, back to the topic. Yeah, the Democrats, they willing to throw you under the bus because they ready to move on. I'm gonna say he not paying the right PR firm. He ain't got no PR at all. He out here just winging it. He don't give a damn, and he shouldn't at this point. Just drop the music. Drop the music, go on tour, and they'll support it. Your fans, you just worry about your fans. But they don't give a damn no more. They tired of fighting your battle about voting rights. We don't care about that. We're trying to bring the immigrants in. We're trying to put them in these so-called black districts, and we'll get our votes that way. What the hell? Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay. Let me show this now. Because of this decision that came to about gerrymandering I talked about 2 weeks ago, they're protesting again in Selma. They're walking again. The dude, I forgot his name, the one who has the afro, who ran for office, he said he's not rerunning again. I forgot his name. The dude trying to be like Martin Luther King. And it's the easiest play. They try to do it with Roe v. Wade and affirmative action and stuff, trying to get black people to vote for Democrats to say they'll bring these things back that supposedly benefits the black community. I showed y'all in the last episode 2 weeks ago that since 2013, they've known that this has been something that the Republicans were going to attack, and they did nothing to defend it. Since 2013, they've known that this is something that the Republicans was going after, and they did nothing about it. Now that it's where it is now, that the Supreme Court came to the decision they did, now they're making it seem like it's the greatest thing ever. Oh my God, we got to do something. We're back in Jim Crow. Now we back in Jim Crow. Craig said, damn, does that mean no more catfish nuggets? I was like, this is great news. Quiet is kept. Let them ignore the political ideology of immigrants. They're important into the country. Yeah, most of them vote right wing anyway, so it is what it is. And Miss Keisha Lance Bottoms. Keisha Lance Bottoms wants to be Georgia's next governor. I will say this, though. She was a mayor. She gave up her seat. She didn't bother running against the dude who became mayor now. And she got low for a few years. She got low. She separated her image from the party. And now she's trying to run for governor. The former mayor of Atlanta wants to be the governor's first black woman and female governor. Keisha Lance Bottoms sat at a couch inside a dimly lit room in retreat by the gathering pot, enjoying the normal lighting and set forth by the afternoon sky. It was just past 2 p.m. when she had a long day and doing interviews with local media, and there was still one more interview to go. Running for the citywide selection was one thing, but running for the top spot in the state was another entirely. Still, she sat with a smile on her face, ready to answer questions about why she should be Georgia's next governor. What we thinking, y'all? We think she got a real shot at it? They tried to run Stacey Abrams twice and failed. Now they're going with Keisha Lance Bottoms. I don't think she has as much of a negative perception nationwide. I don't know about locally. I don't know how Georgia feels about her. When she went out in Atlanta, there was a crime problem they were blaming her for. But I don't know if they'll completely attach that to her no more because it's been years and she's been quiet. So we'll see. Arnold says, this marching is all for show. Let Keisha have it. They trying to turn ATL into New York. He would slow that down immediately. And now that's what I was about to ask the question. How much does the demographics change, or the attempt at the extreme demographics change happening in Atlanta and Georgia in general? How much does that affect Georgia's next governor? I don't know. Like if she come out, if we'll see in her language, if when she come out and she starts talking certain ways and start talking about certain policies, how she talks about certain things will show what she believes the voices on the ground are saying. If the people in everyday Atlanta are talking about those demographic changes, she might have to attach herself to that and try to get a win out of it. We'll see. A third of the Congressional Black Caucus could lose seats amid redistricting fight. Let me play a little bit of
We're tracking for you this hour. In New Mexico, a deadly medical plane crash.
This ain't got nothing to do with that. Regina says, I know some of her people who live in Seattle. Oh, for real? That's so crazy, right? Small world, ain't it? Honorable says they need someone roots in the community, except if not If not her, then who? I don't know. They might stick with the person they got. Can he run again? Almost a third of the membership of the Congressional Black Caucus, 19 of its 62 members, are at risk of losing their seat through the 2028 cycle as Republicans in southern states where they control the legislature move swiftly to redraw congressional maps less than 2 weeks after the Supreme Court dealt blow to the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Honorable said they mostly immigrants, let them go. Now, let me say this. So a lot of black people obviously are saying that black people are losing representation in government. We're losing seats. So that means we're losing influence and stuff with our population size. So I saw a clip. I didn't grab it. I don't know why I didn't grab the clip. There was a clip on Fox News. Yes, Fox News. Listen to what I'm about to say. So Fox News hosts, they were talking about them redrawing the districts and how black people would lose more seats and have less representation in office. And he said, for the last 120, 150 years, blacks have represented 10 to 15% of the population. He said that the Mexicans, Hispanics have come over and they already have equal representation in government because they're coming over and they're having babies. He said if blacks want more representation, they need to hit the sheets. Now listen, I don't know if this is shocking to y'all because it sounds like a simple thing. Yeah, have more kids if you want to have more representation. You need a bigger population to have more representation in government. The part that's insane to me is a right-winger Caucasian man is actually telling black people to grow their population. I don't know if there's ever been something that's been said. I don't know if I've ever seen a right-winger tell black people to have more children. I guess you can use the whole debate they have with abortion laws when they like to use black people and how parenthood is always in black communities. It's always something pushed on black communities. And they say they fighting against abortion. But this is a person who outright telling black people, if you want more representation, you need to have more children. And I just thought that was funny that a right winger was saying that. Honorable says, if the CDC is going to keep telling us they can't do anything for us, put a white in position and shame them into getting our agenda done. Now you're thinking strategically. You got to start, this is why you need PACs. When you're in a system not built for you to survive and build and grow, you have to learn how to use influence and power with money to get them to do what you want. Sometimes you got to get a white face, as Honorable was saying, to get your deed done. Put the money in a white person's pocket and they'll go. You see it all the time when people go get their house appraised. They'll change all the pictures in their home to a white family, a white friend and his wife and kids. Have the people come in and appraise it. And then, you game the system. Yes, they're racist. Use it against them. Use it against them. But yeah, let me show another march. This is in Selma. Jim Crow 2.0 is what they're calling it.
Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on with your come on!
Oh, man. Oh, man. So while Jim Crow 2.0, hold on. While Jim Crow 2.0 is allegedly, they're calling it happening down south, up north, they have this right here going on. Did Zohran Mamdani new budget really eliminate New York City's deficit? Let me play this here. Hold on.
Presented New Yorkers with our preliminary budget.
Or Regina said, "Old man is right. The power of the world in the speed in this case." Yeah.
It reflected a straightforward reality. New York City was reckoning with a historic budget gap. The causes were clear and numerous. They included years of mismanagement and under-budgeting from the Adams administration, a long-standing relationship between the city and the state, where too often New York City was forced to carry costs it never should have shouldered alone, an unwillingness to ask more of those with the most, asking working people to bear the burden instead. When we took office, the deficit was vast, more than $12 billion. While you do not choose the deficit you inherit, you do choose how you respond to it. In the month that followed, we took aggressive steps to tackle the deficit and drove it down to $5.4 billion. Today, after 3 more months of painstaking work, I am proud to announce that we have closed the gap entirely.
So this is what he's talking about.
We've always been told that when the government is broke, there's only 2 options. Raise our taxes or slash our aka cutting our services and making us pay more in taxes. He said absolutely not. Instead, we tax the rich. New York City put together a plan for its first pied-à-terre tax on out-of-state millionaires and billionaires who own a second home worth more than $5 million in this city. People who park their money in luxury apartments they barely live in while the rest of us get priced out. And Zohran Mamdani got Albany to deliver billions in state support that the city was owed but never fought for. Then went line by line through the budget, fired outside consultants like McKinsey, brought work back in-house, and found $1.77 billion in real savings. Deficit zero, reserves fully restored, and property taxes untouched. And in that same state budget, universal childcare for 2- and 3-year-olds for the first time in city history. 1,000 new teachers, $5.6 billion for public housing, permanent funding for libraries and parks, half-price Metro cards, mental health care, affordable housing, all of it. That's what leadership that actually cares about affordability looks like. It's not magic, it's a choice. Meanwhile, Washington is handing out tax cuts to Trump's billion-dollar donors and telling the rest of us to tighten our belt. The difference isn't resources, it's priorities.
It says an African American eliminated NYC deficit. Round of applause to your people. Hey man, let me say this. This is basically the same thing they say right here. So I've been talking about the Democratic Party and what they plan on doing for the next foreseeable future. Who's the candidate? What is going to be the new vision? Who's going to be the new image for the Democratic Party? Obama can't work no more. He's been doing it too long. He needs to get out of the way. Who's going to be the image, the face of the party? A lot of the people that came in were supposed to have that. They've kind of burned the bridge a little bit with their constituents, with the people that were supporters. They've done things they disagree with over the years, and now they might not have that same audience. Need something fresh and new. That's probably going to be Mamdani. When I saw this moment right here, I knew what they were planning. When Obama went and sat with his man, with these kids, I asked the question, is he there to neutralize Mamdani, or is he there to grow him? Is he there to pretty much touch the person who the party is going to have to adopt him and his message now? And I think it's the latter. They're going to pretty much adopt everything Mamdani is doing in New York. It's like a winning strategy. If you're able to win New York and get rid of a debt like this could be fluff, but it's kind of hard to argue against it. In the next 8 years, who else better would you push if you're that party?
You look at somebody like Mamdani, who I think is an extraordinary talent. He wants people to be able to afford housing in New York. Well, you know, I would assume liberals in New York want the same thing.
So now we're going to have a Kenyan mixed white man who won presidency, a Jamaican mixed Indian woman who ran, and now we're going to have a so-called African Indian. Is he Indian as well? Or something like that? Pakistani, wherever he is. So all three, as Honorable said, are African Americans, but none of them are black. How do people play in your face? His religious practices works against him. Not if you, let me tell you something. If he's able to get New York to just, because New York is the wealthiest state, it's the wealthiest place on the planet pretty much. If you're able to make them wealthier and the people there drive down prices of homes and rent and stuff, if you're able to make those people happy, believe me, the rest of the country won't give a damn about his religion. Yes, you'll have a few extreme Christian nationalists or whatever that'll be saying that he's going to try to bring over ISIS and all that shit. The average white person is going to say, fuck that. He trying to give us health care. I'm voting for him. That's why Obama won, because he said hope. He gave him hope. Even the most racist white person said, that guy said he's going to give me health care. That guy says he's going to fix the economy. This is after the crash that happened with Wall Street in 2008. This guy says he's going to save us. I'm voting for him. If Mamdani came with the same hope plan and he's able to really sell it through what he did in New York, they're going to vote for him. Anwar says, if Obama is out, nobody is upholding his recommendations. I don't know. Obama still got power in that party, man. You still need, behind the scenes especially, it's not even about whether the public care about what Obama thinks. They care about what Obama thinks. If Obama is telling them we don't support this or that candidate, they ain't doing it. I was saying NYC is losing influence quietly quiet as kept. We still have to look for California and Chicago with new political leaders. I feel like there's going to be a big shift in Chicago, possibly. California is just never going to happen. California is way too liberal. Yes, there's some pockets of conservative people, moderate people. But as far as they're going to keep voting the same way, and they're going to keep getting neglected by their politicians. It ain't changing. California is too far gone. Matter of fact, California is so bad that the liberals are leaving. The liberal people, progressives are leaving. They're leaving California, moving to Florida, moving to Texas, moving to these red states, thinking that they're going to change the voting in those states, and they realize quickly it ain't happening. So, no. I agree with you. NYC is losing influence, but politically, if you're able to do, we know the expenses that exist in that state. If you're able to bring those prices down, make those people happier, then what can you do for Alabama? What can you do for, Ohio? Like, they're going to vote for him. West Virginia. But yeah. All right, we already talked about that. Another thing he's doing, this is the last thing on Mamdani. Let me show this. By the way, the World Cup is happening. the last time it's funny, the last time the World Cup was something that was in my daily life that I actually even knew existed was when I went to high school here in 2009. Was it? In 2009, the World Cup happened. And this was a culture shock. This is me coming from North Carolina. I come from a small rural town in North Carolina. I move up here and I'm in this very multiracial school. Ain't nothing but one other black person. Everybody is Somali. Everybody is East African. Everybody is somewhere from Asia and stuff. And the World Cup happens. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Why do we care? And they just shut down the school pretty much. We're in class just looking at football games or about soccer games, not even doing no work. And to me, it was a shock because where I'm from, we didn't give a damn about no World Cup. So now the World Cup is happening in America. It's going to be hosted in the Americas, Canada, United States, Mexico. Really, the next month and a half, something like that, maybe 3 weeks. I can't remember what date it is exactly, but in the next month or so, the World Cup is going to start. America don't care about it so much. No one is really talking about it. But to the rest of the world, obviously, it's very important. But Mamdani, he shut down some of the blocks in New York to allow the kids to play soccer in the streets.
Uh-oh.
I just want to show this. Now, we also know that New York obviously has a high immigrant population, and that in the countries that a lot of them come from, soccer is obviously a big sport. But America has been trying for decades to get Black Americans into soccer. As a matter of fact, Atlanta itself was, you could say for the last decade, 2 decades or so, has been at the center of a Black American pop culture and culture in general. They've been pushing soccer in Atlanta very heavily, obviously. It's like it's kind of a growing thing. I don't know if it still is. I know 2015 or so, when I looked it up, it was actually a growing thing over there. I don't know if they still kept that momentum or not. So when I saw this right here, I immediately thought, if he's somebody who ends up having national influence and they start adopting some of the things he's doing culturally with stuff like this, how long before you see America actually start pushing soccer into the mainstream? I mean, imagine if New York becomes imagine if soccer becomes a very popular sport in New York with the immigrants. Remember, I'm talking about the immigrants that's there. What if that really grows and becomes a real thing in New York to a point where it starts to influence other states? Just a thought. Almost says, didn't know so many states were involved in the World Cup nonsense. Yeah, they're having games all over the country. It's going to be, I think, Seattle, California, I think Kansas City, New York, Jersey, I think Chicago, I'm not sure. A few southern states. Then they got a few games in Canada and a few games in Mexico. They're supposed to have a halftime show. They said Future was going to be there, but I think that was a joke. Matter of fact, what's her name? Shakira and Burna Boy made the official World Cup song, but it ain't charting. Nobody listened to that shit. So we're gonna see if they just start putting a whole bunch of autoplay on it to try and pump it up. But Shakira and Burna Boy did the official World Cup song. I don't says black men stopped breakdancing because they didn't want to get dirty soccer not happening for black Americans. We will not return to baseball before that happens. Future performance is real. Oh, it is. Oh, shout out to Future then. That's gonna be crazy. He gotta do March Madness. That's gotta be the main one he do, right? But I don't think so. I think the problem is who they promote soccer through. Black people don't care. Like when Messi signed with Miami or whatever that team is in Florida, black people don't really give a fuck about Messi, Ronaldo, all them. You got to get black people into the Brazilian soccer players. They're the ones that's entertaining. They do the way they play soccer is how black Americans play football and basketball. Swagger, a certain level of sauce and energy. Like, you got to have some type of charisma to your athleticism. That's kind of how Brazil play. They more saucy with it. I think if you push that type of image on black Americans, they would grow. But, you know, soccer is also very expensive. It's very expensive to get into, and a lot of black people ain't going to put a whole bunch of money into that type of game. So it is what it is. Running through a few stories now. I only know soccer. I only know about soccer because of IShowSpeed, not the players. Oh yeah. Oh, his Caribbean tour finally ended too. Y'all see, I got a video I'm gonna show later, so I'll talk about that later. When I end the show. Run through these stories right quick, and then we're gonna get to the ending part of this. You gotta run through this. CIA chief visits Cuba as energy crisis worsens. So we know it's going kind of rough in Cuba right now. This is a story because trash tour. Yeah, I wasn't really feeling this tour. And speaking of Cuba, IShowSpeed didn't go to Cuba. It's clear this is one of the reasons, because they're having a energy crisis right now. I saw a video of a mother who's saying she didn't have food to give her kids and stuff in Cuba. I said, this is clear. Now ask yourself, why is the CIA chief going to Cuba over an energy crisis? Now this is two things that's happening. They feel like they finally have broken Cuba. We broke you finally. All the sanctions and stuff, backdoor stuff we've been doing, is finally coming to a head, and you can't fight us off no more. So either the CIA chief went there to negotiate, or he went there to just warn them that we're coming. Trump said this like 2 months ago. We're going to take over Cuba on our way back from Iran. Like, he already said what the plan is. You know, so Cuba might be the next story that we get in the next month or two. Patient 0 identified in Hantavirus ship outbreak. So now, crash it down, Cuba going through it. Yeah, Cuba going through it, man. They've been fighting for a long time, but unfortunately, the devil wins sometimes. So at least the devil gets a win. It was not always permanent, but they might have to bend the knee a little bit. Honorable says, all those good, hardworking whites being returned to Cuba, they will be the first world nation in 10 years. They don't want to go to Cuba. They ain't never going back. They're going to stay their ass in Florida. Hantavirus. Now, the first time we heard about Hantavirus in a big media story was when that actor, I forgot his name. Hold on, let me look it up. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. There was an actor. Gene Hackman. If you remember a few months ago, Gene Hackman, his wife died of hantavirus, and because he's I think he's senile or whatever, he didn't quite understand what was going on. I think she was dead in the house with him for like a week until he finally passed away from type of cardiac problem. His wife died of hantavirus. So that's the first time we saw that story in the media, was her dying from it, until it come from rodent species or whatever. So a boat, a cruise, should I say, has an outbreak. 5 people die. They didn't really keep them on there. The story I saw was there was one case where a woman's husband died on the ship. She got off the ship with her husband's remains, got on a plane with his remains, flew to her home state, and then died herself at home. And it's like, why do people get sick and the first thing they do is go around a crowd of people? So obviously this was a few weeks ago, and then it's been a talk of the town. Oh, we might have another lockdown. Oh, here we go. Somebody found somebody on social media who in 2022, they said that in 2023, COVID would stop, and that in 2026, there would be a hantavirus outbreak. So I don't know if that was predictive programming, just letting us know what was coming in the future, or somebody just said some common common viruses that exist and just made a guess. You be the judge of that. So a Dutch Leo has been identified as the first known case of the deadly hantavirus outbreak linked to the MV Honduras cruise ship after falling ill during the April voyage in the South Atlantic. His case is central to efforts by global health officials to trace how their rare virus spread among passengers across borders. He was 70 years old. His wife, 69, was experienced bird watchers who have spent months traveling across South America before boarding the MV Honduras in April the 1st. Their journey took them to Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay, where they returned to Argentina in late March from what will prove to be their fatal stop. They're also saying there's some type of other outbreak that's supposedly happened. I forgot the name of it now. So here we are, about to go into the summer. So here we go. Hold on. This at the same time. Detained, escorted off ship, and child sex abuse material. Cruise staff members attached to child pornography. At the same time as the hantavirus. Oh, okay. Regina says some more man-made BS scamdemic. Definitely is. Well, we'll see how far they push it this time, because I think a lot of the stuff that happened during the COVID thing, people forget, and they wrote articles telling people to forget it. Like they was wheeling out literal bodies into the street in New York, trying to convince people that people would it was just surrounded by death. And then now they're telling us, oh, the death rate was only 3%, 2%. And it's like, wait, y'all told us that everybody who got it could die. That's what y'all was telling us. But you know, YouTube deleted videos, put strikes on people's channels for saying what's normal now, but it is what it is. Arnold said nurses said they're not coming out this time. They better not. Investigation found 27 cruise ship workers, including from Disney, engaged with child pornography. The agency said the operation last month involved CBP officers boarding 8 cruise ships. The 27 workers were deported. It said, deported? 27 cruise ship members, customs and paid. The discovery was made last month. The spokesperson said the agency determined 27 to 28 crew members in view were involved in either the receipt, possession, transportation, distribution, or viewing of CSEM or child pornography, and that the visas were canceled and they were deported to their home countries. They were mostly foreigners on a Disney ship as a worker, selling, watching, transporting child. All right. All right. The games these people play, man. And it's funny because they tell us when the Epstein thing originally popped off that y'all looking at Epstein, y'all should be looking at really just South America and the islands in general. Like a lot of these billionaire millionaires are running to the islands and to South America doing all type of heinous things, and it's just going under the wind. Nobody's paying attention. I'm just like, why were they jailed? They was deported, and I'm pretty sure. Well, you're right. Why weren't they? They was just deported to their home country. So there's no law against you trying to transfer child material to America. You could just do that, and if they catch you, you just got to go home. Okay. I wonder who it was for. That's the real question. Y'all let these people just go. You didn't. If they're transporting it, they're taking it to someone. So who are they taking it to? On a Disney cruise ship? I don't know. I want to show this too. There's people trying to play some more mind games and try to flip stuff. Let me play this.
There are very few like real archetypes of, in my opinion, truly what America is all about. I think about the civil rights and voting rights movement and how Black Americans really created democracy.
So this person and this party have been telling you for years that it was immigrants that built this country. But now they're saying that it was you that really gave real democracy. It wasn't until you got rights that you made this country a democracy.
In this country.
Right. That's exactly right.
How they literally made something from nothing. It is just beyond me.
Now, I saw people saying that this is her trying to pull the bait and switch, because there's a lot of people coming down on these these Hispanics, these immigrants, and these Asians and stuff. So she's trying to get the heat off of their ass and get it back on Black Americans. Honorable says, I want to challenge all immigrants to never mention us. They need your story. They need your spirit. Because your spirit, it gives them breath.
I think about how like Native people have survived and preserved and
when somebody's saying something they never thought about for the first time out loud, she don't give a damn about none of this, but she, on the spot.
Treasured their culture.
All right, enough. Trying to get it off of them. Now, this is the new platform for the Democrats. She's telling you that the voting rights and the civil rights is proof, and Black Americans are the ones who gave this country a true democracy. That's her messaging. Then you have Newsom, who's telling you that we're on our way back to Jim Crow 2.0. We got to do something. Virginia says, I've always thought she presented herself as a Latin, but here recently saw a video or a short clip that she says she's Sephardic Jew. Yeah, most of them are. I was shocked years ago when I started going into the DNA testing stuff, even though I know most of it is BS. I was shocked by how many Puerto Ricans, how many Dominicans are Jewish. I was shocked. What's his name? The dude from Jamaica, the dance hall from the Indian. I thought he was Indian. What's his name? The song, he got a song with Beyonce. God damn it. Sean Paul. Sean Paul is Jewish. I just knew for a fact that Sean Paul was Indian growing up, but he's actually Jewish. As is a lot of the people in the islands. There's a lot of Sephardic Jews. There's a lot of through Speed's Caribbean tour, I kind of already knew there was a lot of Indians. I knew there was an Asian population. I knew there was a lot of Southeast Asians. I knew there was a Southeast Asian in population. I didn't realize how big of a quote unquote Jewish population existed then. Honorable says, I'm tired of natives being 500-year-old victims as well. They receive repair. Regina said Louis Farrakhan too. Yeah, Louis Farrakhan too. That's why when he said the stuff he say, he throw it in their face. I am who I say I am. Regina said, or it's in his lineage, be it his father, be a grandfather. Yeah. When you look up Farrakhan's Caribbean heritage, I think it do go back to Jewish dude. Hell, the person who was at the head of the Nation of Islam, who started that, was a white man. So, yeah. Honorable said, don't mean he's not Indian. That tour taught me that. Oh, yeah. It's a lot, especially Trinidad. If somebody said they're from Trinidad, they're Indian. Like, yeah, they might have some African mix. Their dad is Indian. That's another thing that I was shocked by. I'm not saying nothing to the dudes in Trinidad, but every woman that I saw was dating or married to an Indian man, regardless of her race. She could be Afro-Trinidadian. She could be an Indian, Indo. She could be an Asian. They was with Indian men. They weren't dealing with the Afro man. So them telling me that half the damn island is Indian, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell at all.
Racism in a scale I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. Never have seen in my lifetime. It's all happening. Bring us back to pre-19.
I'm saying, so are the Tobago people the blacks? Because I'm still confused. I don't know. I know he didn't go over there and they wanted him to, the other side of the island. I don't know, but everybody in Trinidad, at least 80% of them people was Indian. At least 80.
60s world. It's jaw-dropping what's happening. It was jaw-dropping what Governor Landry did. He suspended a primary election where tens of thousands of people had already voted. Why? To redistrict 2 districts to eliminate black representation. I can't believe that we're experiencing this. My parents talked to me about this.
I think New Orleans was able to block them stopping the election, I believe.
I said, well, thank God it's not going to happen on my lifetime. And it's happening in real time. Anti-woke is anti-black. All these attacks on DEI, it's anti-black. Level of racism is sick. Rewriting history, censoring historical fact. Number of African Americans have been eliminated from key positions and posts. The Pentagon and elsewhere, it's sick.
So we're just going to ignore that you block reparations? We ain't forget that, buddy. That ain't going nowhere.
Happening in the United States of America in the open. And it needs to be called out. So forgive me for reacting this way. And I feel a deep responsibility to do something about this, and nothing to do with me as governor, just as a human being. This is not why our founding fathers lived and died. It was about the expansion of liberty, expansion of freedom, including more and more people. And we're seeing exactly the opposite take shape under this administration.
He said it's Jim Crow 2.0. I saw a person, I guess they're from Alabama. They were talking about how Alabama, they don't want to redistrict the area. They don't want to redraw the maps, because if they did, there would be more black seats. Like, people don't realize how black Alabama is. I think the largest black population technically is New York, but the largest black percentage of a state is Alabama. I think it's like 43%. Virginia says, I'm incorrect. Lewis has St. Kitts mom and Jamaican dad. Yeah, okay. I knew it was. I get St. Kitts and what's the other one? St. Nevis, whatever it is, mixed up sometimes. And Trinidad, I said that because I was talking about the IShowSpeed tour. There's a lineage and Jewish inside of that. Oh, okay. So is it a St. Kitts part or the Jamaican? I wonder. Honorable says, is it Jim Crow 2.0 if breeding with Mexicans is the goal in California? Oh, man. California.
Hispanic.
Oh, I posted this little clip too as a short. This is crazy. This is our black whatchamacallit saying this.
Hispanic men do some of the most dangerous jobs all across America. We represent a lot of our Latina brothers and sisters.
Keep in mind, this is a man who claimed himself to be the Black Attorney General, Black America's Attorney General.
And I'm not surprised because Hispanic men do some of the most dangerous jobs all across America. And oftentimes, the companies and the insurance companies don't value their lives. And I believe that it's always been about equal justice, no matter whether you're black, white, brown, or red. And so
that was literally the racist, by the way. Black, white, red, brown, or red. Not everybody black. But I almost says ambulance chaser. This is supposed to be the Black America's Attorney General coming to the defense of Hispanic men who would never come to your defense. They don't give a damn. But see, they tell Black Americans that we shouldn't be cops. They tell us we shouldn't go into office. They tell us we shouldn't be in certain positions of control over our neighborhoods because that's the system. You go over there, you're going against your own people. But the Hispanics get here, they become cops. They go work at the prisons. They go into politics immediately and try to get influence and control over their communities. We just do stuff so backwards. It's crazy. It's just so backwards. Quick story on this. Rivers and data centers. I don't know if y'all been paying attention. I'm not going to stay on this long. There's been a big culture, or not even a culture war. There's been a big war going on with big business or big tech and the data centers they're trying to build across the country. A lot of these people are protesting in certain cities. I know Utah is having a battle right now. I seen that there was a little thing going on in Tennessee. I don't know if it was in Memphis or Nashville. They were supposedly trying to put down data centers. I know there's already some data centers on college campuses as they're trying to build one on Fisk University. Fisk University unveils $1 billion campus overhaul boosted by big data center. They're giving people money to let them build on their campuses. Data centers, obviously by the name, they're the center that hosts a lot of data in certain areas, supplying energy and stuff, transferring information. But the reason why people are so against them is it hurts the environment. It take up a lot of water resources and other stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of pushback against that. I don't say black males refuse to acknowledge Latinx as white. It's insanity. Oh no, they ain't white. They Mexican. All right, man. All right, let me play this here. Because the whites in Utah ain't playing no games.
So after Kevin O'Leary went on Fox News to accuse us of being operatives for the Chinese government, we did not back down on the data center. In fact, we actually dug in more. So today's Fresh Hill is that Utah Speaker of the House Mike Schultz owns 600 acres near the Stratos project site. As one normally does, we were scrolling around looking at the parcels of land that are right around the proposed data center. And wouldn't you know it, we happened upon a little parcel of land with the owner name being labeled as Mike Schultz Inc. And it doesn't take an investigative journalist to find that it is in fact owned by the Utah Speaker of the House, Mike Schultz. And these two combined parcels of land total up to about 640 acres. And that 640 acres is just about 3 miles away from the Stratos project site, right next to the freeway interchange. Huh, that's coincidence.
So like any normal person does, you go to the Box Elder County Recorder's office and you pay $1.50 and you can get the deed for that land. And wouldn't you know it, what this piece of property Mike Schultz bought on January 3rd of 2025. And then to put the cherry on top, all of this land he bought for, quote, $10 and other good and valuable consideration. Apparently this is like a legal term, the $10 and other good and valuable consideration that people use because in Utah, you don't have to disclose how much you bought this property for. So people put $10 because it satisfies what is legally required without having to disclose exactly what they paid for it, if anything. We are not saying that Speaker of the House Mike Schultz bought this because he knew that there was a data center project coming. In a recent interview, he said that he only found out about this project in April with everyone else. But what we are saying is it is a pretty big coincidence that he owns this much land right next to this data site that he bought last January. He calls himself a farmer and a rancher. But what you might not know is that before he was a farmer and a rancher, he was a developer. Mike Schultz is also a millionaire, and his most recent conflict of interest disclosures list 25 business entities. All of those ranging from hotels in Hawaii to real estate to apartment buildings to his private plane. So Mike Schultz does own some farming and ranching land near Hooper. Said correct. We're not Chinese operatives. But his business...
It's funny they say Chinese operatives when we know that they exist in certain other parts of the actual government. But I'm not gonna play all this. They went on a whole thing about how, obviously conflict of interest, that he's trying to benefit financially from them moving and trying to put the data centers in Utah, and the locals are trying to fight against it and stop them from building it because it affect the resources of the local areas. Honorable says, why is Alaska, Wyoming, and Montana not an option for the centers? I'm guessing based off of the places I've heard them want to put them and place them, they need to be in cities, I guess. They need to be next to populations in big cities or somewhat big cities. Utah obviously got a big city in it. Tennessee, I think Georgia, a few other places. So obviously they need it near. I think they just need it near cities, I guess. I want to show this right here. Then we'll get to the last segment after this. There was a story. The Justice Department. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. Here we go. All right. This right here. Justice Department investigation determines Yale's medical school discrimination based on race in admissions. So the Asians are back again for black people in college, against black people in college. So at Yale's medical school, there was a report they put out that said that black students had a certain higher percentage chance to be accepted than Asian and white students. In this study they did, it made it seem like Yale Medical School was letting in all these lower scored testing students, black students, into the school. They were being discriminatory to the whites and to the Asians. It turned out that it's 44 students. It's 110 per class, if I'm not mistaken, or not per class, but it's 110 basically students in this class that is Asian. 44 were black, and they're saying they're still fighting this thing where they try to run all these black students out of their classes. And every time I see one of these stories with these Asians being used pretty much to push black people out of these institutions and accusing any black person in any of these schools, accusing it of being a race-based admission, is crazy. That's already racist as hell. But now you got the Asians doing it to make it seem like they're being discriminated against when they represent already a humongous percentage of the population of these colleges. Is just crazy. They just use as attack dog drones at this point. It's sad. We'll see what goes further with this. From what's came out right now, obviously no decisions been made. It just came out with this report. Justice Department Civil Rights Division has completed a year-long investigation into the admissions process and practice of the Yale School of Medicine. Yale's documents show that its leadership intentionally selected applicants based on their race. Yale's documents reveal that they studied how to use racial proxies to circumvent the Supreme Court's prohibition on using race to select students. Yale's admission data demonstrates that black and Hispanic students have a much higher chance of admission to Yale than white or Asian students with the same test scores. So I'm guessing the comparison is that obviously less black students actually probably put in an application to go to Yale, but because less of them are trying to go and more of them end up in there, they try to say, well, it's a high percentage chance to get in if you're black. Just once again, this administration hawking down on black people. Not surprising. Yeah, this is the last segment I'm gonna do right here. All right. Gotta set this up. All right. So another internet discussion that probably should just stay on the internet. Shouldn't be taken serious, maybe. But I've seen the language over the last couple years continue to grow in extreme, that I feel like people need to really start taking this as a real serious threat. So this is just a random poster that I saw, and we seen something like this last year when I showed somebody make a comment saying how the Black American population, or Black American culture, should I say, at some point is going to go extinct. That the immigrant population will mix in with the Black American population and have certain influences on it where it will not be the same in 100 years. And that sentiment continues to be pushed by a lot of so-called Pan-Africanists, anti-fascists, as they call themselves, Marxists, who push this class solidarity thing, until it's about Black Americans and they're ready to kick their back in. This person said, rather than argue that the descendants of immigrants. Now, this all started, by the way, with the conversation on Ebonics. Don't ask me. It's just weird conversation start. We know. So all the people were saying was Ebonics is a Black American language. It's kind of obvious. Because there was a poster, this had to be like 2 weeks ago, who has an entire account set up to so-called exposing or joking on people who improperly use Ebonics. You know how people get online, start typing like they Black people, they don't know what they're saying. They're saying stuff out of place. They don't know what they're doing. So this account was calling themselves exposing those people, particularly white people, a lot of the time Hispanics, non-Black people. Turns out the person who has this account is Ghanaian. Ghanaian and Native American. They're not Black American at all. So a conversation starts. Why the hell is this Ghanaian Native American have an account dictating what is and isn't Ebonics to Black America? The people who said this were called fascists, nationalists, being xenophobic, all the other buzzwords they got. But then you get stuff like this being said, where this person said, rather than argue that the descendants of immigrants learn Ebonics from Black Americans, I'd rather point out that, one, depending on the native languages, it actually comes naturally to them because it already makes sense. And two, Black Americans helped shape Ebonics. Oh my God, bruh. Me, when I showed this to Travis, all he did was he was so annoyed. He didn't even want to talk about it. It's getting so bad now that we already heard the story of hip hop, how they swear up and down they had all this influence in it, but the more time goes on, people are going back, getting the real stories, the DJ Mario, all this, the real people are telling you what really happened. They're debunking that. Then they said R&B. Yes, they're saying R&B is a African sound. That is, I forgot what country they try to claim it. They say funk is from the Congo. Yeah. Or was it blues? I can't remember. I think it's blues. Yeah. They said blues is from the Congo. They're claiming all this stuff. Now they're saying Ebonics the formation of Ebonics was helped by Black immigrants. Now, in this debate, I realized how much they mixed up slang and Ebonics. And people are saying Ebonics now. No one is saying African American vernacular English no more, because they're using the fact that the word African is in it, that it means it's for everybody. And that ain't even the worst thing that I saw. Honorable says these mix-in narratives is hilarious. We can look at Drake for the Black father mix and LOL, and we can turn to 61 years of Caribbean African men in NYC. It's all wishful thinking. I've seen so many crazy takes. I saw a Puerto Rican woman. She said that she's Puerto Rican ethnically. Her ethnicity is Puerto Rican, but that she's Black American. People are telling this woman, no, Black American is an ethnicity. She said, I'm Black in America, I'm Black American. They said, but you said you Puerto Rican. Then she said, and this is the part where you just go, I'm just confused. I don't know what's going on in the world no more. She said, Black American is a diaspora. So no, it's not an African diaspora. He said Black America as itself has a diaspora. So you can be Black American from France because Black American is just black. So anything Black people in America do is just blackness. So anybody who's not in Africa is a part of that. It's a diaspora built around Black America. And it's like, no, that's called influence. You've been influenced by Black Americans. It's not your culture. Virginia says, it's fascinating that immigrants don't recognize the other immigrants and try to compare American history to theirs. It's crazy. So in this, there's a whole back and forth that happened. I want to show some of the back and forth that happened with this. So you see this person right here said, Black immigrants have helped shape Ebonics? With DDG post, like laughing, like, what are you talking about? And then somebody responded to that and said, why do you think New Yorkers say, are you mad instead of crazy? Why do you think they say big up when they're not even Jamaican or even West Indian? First off, Americans, we do not use the term, are you mad? Like, are you mad when you're calling somebody crazy? We say you mad to mockingly joke at them when they're being antagonized. You mad that it's not, no one says, are you mad? We say, you crazy as hell. We don't say that. Now, she said New Yorkers. Now, let me say this. Over the last decade especially, we saw it with the whole drill music thing. A lot of the drill beats you hear in New York, they got from the UK. That is because, just like the UK, there's a lot of Jamaicans, there's a lot of Caribbeans in New York. So a lot of them have cousins, aunts and uncles and grandparents in the UK. So the person who was born in the Bronx might got an auntie or an uncle that lives in the UK, and they got cousins from them, so they go visit them and they start using their lingo here in America. Do I believe that's happening? Yes. But that is not Ebonics. That is slang being used in a regional manner. That has nothing to do with what's going on in Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, North and South Carolina, Florida. That has nothing to do with what's going on in the rest of the country. That's not Ebonics. That's just a regional slang. That's different. Ebonics is a language. It has structure and rules. Like we always bring up the habitual be. I also heard somebody say that the habitual be, like I be over there, I be da. They're saying that that's patois. That's Nigerian patois. These people are crazy. I've seen a content creator wife say she's Puerto Rican, which has Taino means she's Black American. The craziness that's happening. Is that just a New York thing, or I'm confused? When did the Puerto Ricans become Black American? When did Black American become a race or some category to anybody who can be under? Crazy. Arnold says patois from the Irish is crazy. Bruh, that's the thing. The habitual be exists in a Black American, Ebonics, Irish language, and Nigerian. That does not mean it comes from Nigeria. See, this is what I was talking about with history is such a lie. I can't even get into. They lying about who everybody is. That's why people get confused with stuff like this. If you trace stuff back, if this same word or the way this term is being used is happening in 3 different places, it doesn't mean that we got it from white Irish people. It means that the people in Ireland ain't the people that you got it from. It was some other people there. I'm not even going to get into that, though. We're not even going to get into that. But that clearly means that there's a long history that exists where these two groups were once together, probably. And it wasn't in Africa. It probably was in Europe. And they probably didn't look like the people who are in Europe now. They probably look like the people who they used the term swarthy and tawny during those times. The original way to use those words, the etymology, the original term. But anyway, so now they're saying that using certain slang makes it Ebonics, which is just, we're losing the plot at this point. It's over. Then he said, lies. It's all lies. And then this person asked a question, shout out to Princess. She said, why do you think slang is Ebonics? Because they don't respect it. They don't think it's real. They think it's just TikTok slang like the white people. The same way the white woman will walk around and call an afro a cloud bob or whatever she called it. Because they don't respect this. They don't think it's actually a real thing. They think it's just cool. It's just a cool way to say words. Same way these white kids get online and spell stuff. They use a slang from Atlanta, Chicago, and LA in one sentence. They think that's just words you put together. That's just cool to do. People crazy. I'm saying these people think these are the descendants of, these people think they are descendants of Black Americans is all I'm hearing from them. No, they believe that the culture is pop culture and that because they grew up watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Martin, because they listen to Lil Wayne, because they know T.I., because they know 50 Cent, because they know all this music and they watch Menace to Society, because they watch Boys in the Hood, they believe, yeah, I'm Black American because I'm part of the culture. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. And I'm going to keep saying, I done seen even more Pan-African. Now, they tell you that the ethnicity that people who are descendants of slaves in America should be under is African American. And that anybody on the globe who has melanin, who moves to America, they are Black American. These are Pan-Africanists saying this, and I'm like, wait, so African is no longer the standard? So now you're accepting the West's identifier of race, which we say is all fake. You're accepting that as the identifier globally now, which is Black. You're changing it from Africa. So the Pan-African who comes from Ghana wants to be referred to as Black American, not African American, because the actual ethnicity of Black Americans I don't get it, man. What happened to the African pride? What happened to calling Black Americans Africans in America? Now they're not, though. We're Africans in America, but a person from the Caribbean islands, they're a Black American. But me, born in North Carolina, my whole family traced all the way back to North and South Carolina for the last 200 years. I'm an African American, but the person who just got off the boat from Haiti is a Black American. All right, man. Honorable said they've been removed African as the racial category along with Caucasian. It's everything is white and Black now, I guess. So, but I already said this is because we're having global. They're trying to make a global monoculture. That's all it is. They're trying to make monoculture a global thing because they already destroyed it as a national thing here in America. Everything is fragmented because of the internet, but they're trying to build it a monoculture through the internet, social media, globally. We'll see if it works. Let me play this right here. We said, thanks for the show, Duke. Strive and thrive, everyone. All right, see ya, Regina. Let me play this. We got like a few more clips. We're going to get out of here in about 20 minutes or so. What time is it? It is, about 15 minutes.
Slave descendants have a unique linguistic heritage in comparison to every other immigrant group that came to this country.
And I hate that this stuff happens and these debates happen, and the first thing we end up doing is going to a white person who actually took the time to do this, because these white people love studying you. There's a story right now of a Caucasian man who went to African studies. He's a white nationalist, but he went to African studies to try to better understand Black people. And now he had this full-blown plan, according to them, on how to deal with us. And it's like, well, that's what happened. You study your enemy. So these people always be the ones that end up having the information because they took the time to study Black Americans that we end up going to prove our point to somebody else. So it's unfortunate. It is what it is.
African slaves, when they were captured, were often isolated linguistically from others that spoke their own mother tongue while they were on the west coast of Africa. That linguistic isolation was also maintained on the ships during the Atlantic crossing. And as a result of that, not one indigenous African language has survived the Atlantic crossing intact. Once they got here, it was illegal to teach them to read and write. For hundreds of years, slaves were denied access to education. As a result of that, many of the linguistic stereotypes, many of the negative linguistic stereotypes that people embrace regarding African American English, dismissing it as, you know, the language of someone who's being lazy or not attending to language, doesn't fully appreciate the linguistic isolation that slave descendants experienced is unlike any other immigrant group in this country.
When they were brought here, African Americans were segregated into plantations. That's what happened in the Caribbean also. And what they did was to invent new languages, new varieties, taking linguistic properties from the surrounding varieties and creating new forms. These are creations of people put in an absolutely horrible set of circumstances. And out of that milieu came new language forms.
I see Buddy had to pull a Mr. Me Too right there. Ain't gonna say nothing. Always a Mr. Me Too. But anyway. Let's see. We almost about to get up out of here. Oh yeah, this right here. Since this became a topic, people found this old tweet. This is the Grammy. This is a post from 2022. The Grammys. They said Afrobeats is a mesmeric blend of West African and Black American music that has quickly become a global pop phenomenon. Here are 5 wildly successful subgenres that unique rhythms and melodies will instantly grab your ear. So the Grammys said a fact, which is that West African Afrobeats come from, it's pretty much under the umbrella of a Black American music. And all you see in the comments and in the quotes is Africans saying, this is silly. You see, as the interesting quotes and replies, they all in the quotes. This is from a couple years ago, 2022. A lot of people just got on this tweet because of obvious reasons, because the discussion that's happened around Ebonics. But look, this is why people like to gatekeep just nonsense. They said they need to gatekeep more. Blend in is not a mix of anything. It's 100% West African. Americans, main character syndrome. This is so weird. What? I'm trying to go down. Is it crack? So now they'll tell you that they had influence over you with no proof. All they got to tell you that, oh, well, you guys come from West Africa through the slave trade. So that means you automatically have some things that you kept and how you know, your food, your tradition, your speech. But the idea that you influence them, it's just nonsense. This is what they do. So there, highly recommend hiring someone who worked in Afrobeat culture for years, not just someone who started yesterday, to avoid this type of inaccurate reporting. More than happy to help. It's inaccurate. It's not true. Oh man. But you know, they taught you words apparently. Honorable says bastardized Black American music. Heard a girl say it on TikTok and it's nothing but the truth for Africans, Latinx, and Caribbeans. Oh, I saw there's a girl, I'm gonna show right here too. I'm glad you said that. There's a girl I got. I'm pretty sure she's Bahamian or from the Bahamas, where she said that she the history of Jamaican music and like, hey man, this is really Black American music. Hold on. I'm not gonna play the whole thing. It's 9 minutes, but I'm gonna jump through it. This, I think it's like 2 weeks old, maybe a month old or something. Let me play this right quick. Hold on.
We would listen to a Dionne Warwick song and try to sing it exactly as Dionne did it.
Dionne
if you are a
Warwick.
group, you would try to study the Supremes, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. If there was a group who comes from abroad to our shores, we would want to go and see them because they have something to teach us.
So what is wrong with what she said? You have to
Here's
understand the Jamaican language, though. You have to understand.
I think
You have to understand the Jamaican language.
I think artists across mediums, right? They draw inspiration from
other things. What's
Everybody.
being said is that this is beyond just inspiration. What created how reggae emerged was literally Jamaicans literally doing cover songs. Okay, we're past inspiration. They were literally doing cover songs of Black American music genres. Period. So that's
Yeah,
beyond
because
just
that was the only music that was
that's
acceptable.
beyond just a little inspiration. You feel me? That's beyond just a little salt here, a little pepper here. That's beyond some inspiration. Okay, that's literally Jamaicans taking what Black Americans did and then doing it themselves. As music changed in the United States, hold on. As music changed in Jamaica? No. As music changed in Kingston? No. As music changed in Portland? No. As music changed in Montego Bay? As music changed in Ocho Rios? No. As music changed in the United States, so did ska. In 1965 and 1966, when American soul, when British soul, when Brazil soul, when Caribbean soul, when Africa soul, when American soul music became slower and smoother, ska changed its sound accordingly and evolved into rock steady.
She went down the whole thing. So it's 9 minutes. Pretty much, I heard going through the entire history. I can fast forward. Hold on.
Similar version released in 1964 was Jamaica's first commercially successful international hit.
Oh, yeah, this part I want to show.
New
Hold on.
York in 1956 by 14-year-old Barbie Gay. Smalls rhythmically. Similar version released in 1964 was Jamaica's first commercially successful international hit with over 7 million copies sold.
So the first international hit that came out of Jamaica was them covering a song from a 14-year-old boy from New York, my boy Lollipop. The first hit out of Jamaica that had 7 million records sold is them covering a song from a little black boy out of New York, my boy Lollipop. 14-year-old.
It remains one of the best-selling reggae/ska songs of all time.
It's still the best-selling ska song of all time. All right, man. Then it said, who knew all the time brown faces around the globe was trying to replace Black Americans? Coming to America and shake my hand. Yeah. It says, never forget the biggest musician, Marley, never had an impact on Black Americans. Bob Marley literally said that he wanted to be a Temptation or something like that. He wanted to be part of Black American musical band. So, and it's the thing, like, historically, Black Americans never pointed this stuff out because it was just treated like, hey, first off, if you pointed it out, they would tell you that the reason why this is possible is because of imperialism, how American media was forced on them, and their entertainment was forced on them. The same thing the Koreans said a couple of weeks ago when people pointed out how much their K-pop copies R&B and pop from America, Black American R&B and pop. They said, well, during the war, the soldiers, the Black American soldiers in the war, they would listen to their music and da-da-da-da. And so the Koreans started listening to the music. It's your guys' fault. It's you guys' fault that we like this music. Instead of just saying you like it and you think it's dope and we want to copy it because we want to emulate it, you just say, oh, imperialism, war is the reason why we copy your shit. All right, man. I'm just shocker. No Benny Man, Father Elephant, or Red Bull. Let me play.
No.
I'm not gonna play this whole thing either. He came out against Busta Rhymes. This is a Jamaican man who came out against Busta Rhymes of what he was saying.
Now, I would like to take the under 50 to school, and that including Busta Rhymes. I say Busta Rhymes because I have seen where he have done recently, the BET Award.
So you remember what he had to say? I'm not going to show this one because it's a bit too long. Actually, it takes a while for him to get into it. It's 9 minutes long. He basically called him out online about the culture of Jamaica and how he said that America has no culture and that the culture comes from the Caribbeans coming to America and giving it the sauce and all the other shit. How he tried to say that they had all the sauce and all that stuff. He pretty much called it out and checked him on that. This, what I was just saying a while ago when I talked about how they blame imperialism.
IShowSpeed went to Puerto Rico and we showed him mad love. It was
Hold on, y'all.
It's made it so. IShowSpeed.
All right, should be good. 2 more and we getting up out of here. Arnold says, never forget Pharrell helped create Busted last album that flopped badly, so Drake need to stay on his head for that disrespect. All right, let me play this now. Let me play this.
Hello guys, today I want to talk about Black American imperialism. Recently, over the past
Black American imperialism.
2 years, there's been an influx of Black Americans relocating to Kenya, and I want
Black Americans apparently are a huge influx, she said, of Black Americans going to Kenya. Okay.
to discuss this and talk about the effect.
Although I will funny me saying this, I actually have, I think it's Kenya. I think I got a cousin who moved to Kenya a few years ago, on my dad's side. I don't know. I'm not close to him, but I do have a cousin who moved to Kenya.
That has not only economically but also culturally in terms of Pan-Africanism and also from a feminist lens, because as I will discuss, there is a lot to do with women's rights when it comes to that. The first thing I want to talk about is Pan-Africanism, because I am of the belief that right now, at the time in which Africa finds itself, that it is not yet ready to have this great return to the motherland. And I remember I posted that comment and someone who was like showing how he'd relocated to Kenya, and everyone was pissed at me. I am of this opinion mostly because of one reason, and that's because of the economics of it all. If you are Black American and you are relocating from America to Kenya, you are doing it by the help of dollars. And I also mean it in terms of like white people who relocate, right? It's not only about Black Americans.
But it is though, because you only talk about Black Americans.
I think it feels more, hey, we're going to get into that. But I need to finish this one point. It's like when people in general move from the first world and go live in the third world because it is cheaper, it is because they are benefiting from a system that exploits its people. Like, that's just the whole point, is that when you have $1, €1, that is going to be more than the Kenya shilling. And that means that the standard of living is going to be more expensive.
They really call their currency shillings? That's crazy.
For Kenyans themselves. And that's usually my biggest issue. And a good example for that is usually in terms of like braids, because I feel like once like getting braids becomes more expensive, like that's a marker for, okay, like gentrification is happening. Like there's something changing, because again, like $60 for...
Keep in mind, this woman sounds Indian. You want to know why? Because there's an Indian population in Kenya. There's an Indian population in Kenya. Now, I don't know where she lives and where she's at, but there's an Indian population in Kenya that she don't care about. There's a white population in Kenya she's not complaining about. There's an Asian population in Kenya that she's not complaining about. We just saw a Jewish man buy a huge plot of land, and you're not speaking about him. It's the Black Americans. That's the problem. It's Khalees over there owning a farm on disputed land. That's the problem.
Braids in Europe, in America, is pretty cheap. $60 for Kenyans to get braids done is super expensive. And that's the reason. Like, if things keep getting higher in price, for people that are relocating with a better currency.
Now, what she's saying is also something if you have seen some of these videos across social media, We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I think that was the week before last, or 3 weeks ago, episode 226, where I talked about in Ghana. That was even further back actually. But in Ghana, there were complaints about the prices going up because of the influx of Black Americans and obviously American dollar, the currency, how things are becoming more expensive. Everyday things are becoming more expensive. And they were blaming it on Black Americans, even though the lowest percentage of people who are actually moving into the area were Black Americans. What up, Dre? Yeah, I'm about to get off too, Dre. You came popped in real late. But so it's funny how they tend to focus on particularly Black America. Now I'm gonna play this last thing I want to show that I got. I want to show this. Yeah. So we talked about Speed's going to IShowSpeed going to the tour. There's a woman who made a video where she pretty much said there was an attempt at witchcraft on him. Let me show it here. Hold on.
Went to Puerto Rico and we showed him mad love. It was beautiful. He loved it. We made him an honorary Puerto Rican because that's what we do. Unlike Alofoque in DR. Alofoque tried to put a brew on it. Did you catch that? Because I caught it and I'm going to explain it to you.
Alofoque is a dude who hosted IShowSpeed in Puerto Rico. I'm sorry, the Dominican Republic. He's a dude that hosted him in Dominican Republic. The live stream that they said got over 1.8 million views. Turned out that it was botted. IShowSpeed came out and said somebody was botting. He believed it was the Alofoque dude who was doing it. Apparently, he's a content creator in the area. He's pretty popular with his live streams, but he seemed to be faking it till you make it. You know, faking his numbers until it finally catch on, I guess.
Alofoque was drinking a cup of coffee out of a little white cup, a little taza. First of all, the coffee cup comes out of nowhere. He takes a sip and he's like, oh, it's coffee. Do you want some? Not do you want some? Somebody bring him a fresh cup of coffee. Do you want some? Offering the cup that he just took a little sip from. He wants him to sip from that coffee for a reason.
Dre said, long time no see, but I've seen you change the schedule of the show now. No, I still mostly Saturday at 2, but I had to push it back today because Friday I had to do an extra setup. I didn't change it. I just I started setting up late on Thursday and Friday, so I just pushed it back to Sunday. But yeah.
Listen. Next, he gives him a towel to clean up the sweat that he has on his arm. Desperately, he gets that towel. Look at his eyes. When he gives him that towel, and IShowSpeed wipes off the sweat, when he's desperate to snatch it out of his hand and grab it back, he puts it in his mouth and on his nose. He puts it in his mouth. For a reason. Why? Why is it so important that he gets his sweat? That he gets his saliva? Sweat is used when you do brujeria. It carries the essence and the energy of the person. He's trying to establish a link to him so that he can swap destinies. He's trying to take IShowSpeed's essence. He's trying to take his fame. He wants to be like him. Remember he was asking him all those questions? Alofoque is trying to do a tag lock ritual. He's trying to bind him to him. He's trying to bind him to him because maybe he wanted him to do his reality show, but he's definitely trying to get access to his fame and his popularity. Something that you're not going to have, pendejo, because you're famous in DR. Maybe people know you in Latin America. I didn't know you till your little stupid clips came up on TikTok. We already could see what type of person you are. Try to set him up at the end with that big party, that huge party that you were going to televise. You thought you were going to get a bunch of views, but he didn't stay because he could see right through you. He could see the evilness inside of you. We can all see it. You were so hungry to try to steal his fate, but you can't, you see? Because IShowSpeed is blessed and he's protected. Yes, he is.
So, according to her, and she got proof, she showed proof of it in the episode, this man was trying to do a ritual with IShowSpeed. And it made me think of when IShowSpeed, I think he was either in Nigeria or Ghana, or maybe it was Liberia. Yeah, Liberia, I think it was. And there was a tree, and in the tree they were telling him that this tree was sacred and all this other stuff. And he went up and touched the tree, and everybody in the comment section was like, the people who was from the area, I guess, was telling him, "Don't touch it, don't touch it." And then he went to other places where they was offering him some ritualistic drinks and stuff, and the people kept telling him not to drink it. So here he went to Dominican Republic. This man tried to do a ritual on him live on stream. He don't know, obviously. He's not really paying attention. And it make you think traveling is really, it's a spiritual battle as much as it is you worry about the physical threats, obviously. When you talk about going to these countries, you don't know where you're at, you don't know the language. It's a lot of spiritual battles. I remember a story we talked about, I want to, a couple years ago, where a dude who was over there trying to get some, it was sex tourism, Black American dude over there in, I think it was Dominican Republic, maybe, or maybe Puerto Rico. He found him a woman. He went to her house. He recorded himself going to her house. He literally saw a shrine. It was a shrine in her house. He laid down with his woman and then went on to have she had her brother take him back to his hotel or whatever when they were done. And it was like, it was clear based off of what you recorded, that woman just probably committed a sex ritual with you, but you don't even care because you're not paying attention to your surroundings. So I always find it funny when people travel to these countries and they don't understand the culture and the religion and certain things, and they just kind of move. You can't move like that. You got to be way more careful with what you drink, what you're taking from these people. And Speed is one of those people where he just do whatever's in the moment. He don't pay attention because he just, he has this persona he have, like the Luffy character from One Piece. So he just, everybody's safe to him. And I think it's, they need to slow down, honestly. Anyway, man, that was it. That was the last thing I wanted to get to. How long we been? Hold on, y'all. How long we been in here? Yeah, 2:43. All right, yeah. That actually went longer than I thought it would, honestly. Hold on. But yeah. Anyway, man, thank y'all for coming through. Good conversation. Chud the Builder. I think this is his name. He's gonna be. We're gonna see if he gets sentenced in the next few months of that 16 he might be doing. We got to talk about. Oh yeah, shout out to the young blood. I forgot his name. The young brother who ended up stabbing the white boy who tried to get on him at the school. Carmelo, I think that's his name. He got his trial is starting soon, so we're gonna pray for him. Hopefully he beat the case. Yeah, Kevin Hart trying to save his career because it looked like he might not be doing as good financially as we think. And Mamdani might be the new face of the Democratic Party. That's what we went through this week. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Appreciate the support as always. Shout out to everybody who showed up and commented and was talking, and enjoy the conversation as always. Y'all be safe. All praise to the Most High. And peace, man.